this afternoon. You're listening to 93 WIBC. It's 9 o'clock.
Two funerals for Lindsey Graham. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The first one will be a week from today at Washington's National Cathedral after a ceremony honoring the late Republican senator at the U.S. Capitol. Then next Wednesday, another funeral in South Carolina, where today a filing period begins for Republicans who want to run for Senate in next month's primary to replace Graham as the GOP nominee. And his sister will be on that ballot, telling Fox.
I will do it. I will take on the challenge. You know, Lindsey was always there for me. And I feel like now I need to step up and be there for him.
Senator Darlene Graham already holds that seat, appointed to fill out the rest of her brother's current term. It's primary day in Arizona. The polls just opened, with two Republican congressmen vying for the chance to unseat Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs in November.
Andy Biggs has represented Arizona's 5th district for 5 terms and is the former chair of the House Freedom Caucus. He has the backing of President Trump and Turning Point Action. U.S. Representative David Schweikert was elected to Congress in 2010. He's hoping to win over independent voters.
Fox's Alex Hogan. Another primary being watched in Arizona today is on the Democratic side. A progressive socialist, Kai Newkirk, trying to unseat Congressman Greg Stanton. New Fox News power rankings just out ahead of the midterm elections give Democrats a slight edge in the House as they try to win back the majority that finds the Senate even, with races in 4 states too close to call in the polling so far. The U.S. has bombed Iran a 10th straight night, and Iran retaliated again, hitting countries housing U.S. bases, including Kuwait.
Early this morning, Iran attacked another tanker off the coast of Oman, forcing the crew to evacuate the vessel, according to maritime tracking groups. This does come after President Trump issued a new warning to the regime about killing American forces in the Middle East.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst. 3 American troops were killed in an Iran attack in Jordan last week, and the U.S. military just ID'd the soldier killed in Iraq Saturday, Sergeant Michael Swinton from Fayetteville, North Carolina. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A judge's ruling in what the FOP says must change. Partly cloudy and 79 in the Circle City. I'm Jake McDaniel. Good morning. Here's what's trending at 9:02. Indy FOP President Rick Snyder will host a news conference this afternoon at 1. He's calling for answers on Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears' actions after a judge ruled that the prosecutor violated state and federal constitutions and law. The city of Greenwood has approved a new wheel and vehicle excise tax. The proposal passed last night in a unanimous vote. Council members say they didn't have much of a decision with state laws.
We postponed it because of the issue of Greenwood citizens having to pay 2 wheel taxes. We're working with state legislators already to try to fix it.
Greenwood Council President Mike Campbell says the ordinance has been approved in its second reading, so it'll head to Greenwood Mayor Mark Myers for final approval. Indianapolis police arrested a teenager because of a shooting on Indy's northwest side last night. The cops found someone shot and medics took them to a hospital. IMPD said today they detained 18-year-old Corvante Martin at the scene. He was then taken into custody on preliminary charges of robbery and aggravated battery. A man from Indianapolis is suing the city and an IMPD sergeant. Jarrett Lewis explains why.
18-year-old Dalen Brewer is filing a federal civil rights lawsuit against the city of Indianapolis and an Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department sergeant, claiming that the officer fabricated a story that he pointed a gun at her. The incident mentioned in the lawsuit happened April 12th at Riverside Park on the northwest side of Indy. Brewer was eventually arrested and charged with attempted murder, but he states that the body-worn camera on the officer shows he never reached for one of the weapons that was inside his vehicle at the time of the interaction with the officer, and that he was lawfully allowed to possess. Jarrett Lewis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And the winner of the Music City Grand Prix from yesterday is Alex Palou.
And Alex Palou pulls away over that final stint. He goes to victory lane. He wins the Borgetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix presented by Omi Bulls. Joseph Newgarden grabs second. David Malukas third.
That's the call on the IndyCar Radio Network. It's Palou's 5th win of the season, and the series heads to Portland August 9th. WIBC traffic at 9:04. What are you watching, Matt Bear?
All right, Jake, looking at westbound 465 on the south side, crash past Man Road, blocking the right lane, causing stop-and-go traffic to the White River. It's a 6-minute delay. Westbound 70, stop-and-go Emerson Avenue to the north split. That's running 5 minutes behind. Traffic sponsored by Aleve. When traffic slows you down, pain can make the ride feel even longer. With just one pill, Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can put pain in the rearview mirror. Use as directed. I'm Matt Baer on the 5s at WIBC Traffic.
The Honda Summer Event will have you doing a double take at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Look at these deals. Lease a 2026 Accord LX or a 2027 HRV all-wheel drive, each for only $2,500 down and just $250 a month for 36 months at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Tax not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. Not combinable with other offers. 10,000 miles per year. $2,500 due at signing. Does not include first month's payment, documentation fee, or acquisition fee. All applicable fees due at signing. Offer ends 8/31/26. See dealer for complete details.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor, call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Indiana Foundation Service is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Upgrade your home with Drexel Select, Indianapolis-made cabinets in your choice of colors and free design help. Delivered in as little as 10 days. Learn more at drexelin.com.
And now here's the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
We are tracking a very warm and humid day across central Indiana. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will be around at times. A strong gusty storm cannot be ruled out with a high near 87 degrees. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Amber Hardwick for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Jake McDaniel on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
In the daytime.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is 93 WIBC. I'm Ethan Hatcher, joined for the first time by Craig Collins. He's no stranger to WIBC. You've heard him many times before, but I think this is the first time that we are working together, my friend, and I'm very excited by what the show has to offer today.
Yes, this is absolutely the first time that we get a whole show. I think we've only had like a segment before this, and I'm thrilled too, buddy.
A couple of segments. I came in on that Monday, what was it, last week when you were filling in, and we had a conversation, had a good time. I think this is a real interesting combo.
Awesome.
But let's go ahead and dive into the topics. Of course, a hot button issue here in Marion County is the ongoing incompetency of prosecutor Ryan Mears. I call him Ryan, friend of the miscreant Mears, because he is nothing if not a friend to the miscreant. And now his opposition, the Republican who is running for prosecutor here in Marion County, has initiated an educational series of, what the legal process is, what a prosecutor does. And I think this is a pretty valuable asset for voters. And here is his Philip Faust first edition of For the Record.
Former Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson once said, "The prosecutor has more control over life, liberty, and reputation than any other person in America." Hi, I'm Philip Faust, former deputy prosecutor and the Republican nominee for Marion County Prosecutor. This is the first video in our new education series, For the Record. In Indiana, the prosecuting attorney for each county is a constitutional officer elected to represent the state of Indiana in criminal cases. When prosecutors receive information that a crime has been committed, we have a duty to investigate and to take action supported by the evidence. Our mission is straightforward: enforce the law, seek justice for victims, and protect the public. That means reviewing evidence, deciding what charges to file, spending time in court on hearings and trials, and negotiating plea agreements when they serve justice. I've done this work myself as a deputy prosecutor. These decisions have real consequences for real families every day. In the coming weeks, we'll break down more topics. Let me know what you'd like to learn more about. I'm Philip Faust. If you want a prosecutor who will enforce the law, seek justice for victims, and protect the public, I hope that you'll support me in the election this fall.
Do it. Now, this may seem like rather rudimentary stuff. What does a prosecutor do? What kind of power do they wield? But I think this is an important topic of conversation considering the recent scandals that have plagued Ryan Mears. Have you been following this entire debacle here in Marion County, Craig?
Yeah, no, I have. And Mears hates to prosecute anybody who's caught for even a significant pot charge. Mears loves to let a whole lot of people out for all kinds of rap sheet violations. Like, he doesn't like to enforce the law. It's that simple to say it, and Faust would do a better job. The thing I'm worried about, and you're putting it out there via his, I think, social media pages, not a big following. He's got like 300 followers on one thing. On YouTube, it's 200. I think views is a couple thousand. And turnout in this election is going to be a problem, I think, for Faust, because unfortunately, and I think a lot of us know this, it seems fairly likely that Mears would get reelected. He is terrible at this job, and he hates enforcing the law. And I hope for the best from Faust, but even with these educational videos having the value you said they do, I think they're falling into a bucket that's not large enough to get attention.
It might be out of his hand at this point because this goes far beyond his unwillingness to prosecute repeat offenders here in Marion County. Now there's this scandal where he brought 27 felony charges against a Broad Ripple bar owner by the name of Robert Sabtini. All of those were dismissed because I think it was Judge Clark who ruled that it was a baseless search. He being Ryan Mears, instructed one of his office flunkies to just start targeting random business owners in Broad Ripple without actually having a basis for search. So at this point, it's beyond just incompetency and unwillingness to do his job. He is violating constitutional rights, which is why I circle back to the value that, educating the public about what a prosecutor does actually is a pretty big public service here.
Yeah, I know, but do you think there's an appetite to actually, you said it's out of his hands, do you think he could actually be removed from this office? Because I doubt that happens.
We're going to find out because FOP President Rick Snyder is going to make a press conference this afternoon about that very topic. And then tomorrow on the morning show, we're going to have me and Brian Alvey in, and FOP Rick Snyder will join us for that conversation. So a little bit of foreshadowing there of conversations yet to come.
I hope that happens because I think that unfortunately, based on the outcome of the last election that he ran in and just even the turnout in the primaries, even though neither one of them were running against anyone, that the only way to prevent Mears from continuing to be terrible at this job would be to remove him.
It wouldn't be the first time that we have been disappointed by the unelectability of even a qualified candidate. I'm thinking of the campaign of Cindy Carrasco, who was perfectly qualified and more so to be prosecuted than Ryan Mears, but she still lost because of the political makeup of Marion County. So your skepticism is not unfounded at all.
Yeah. No, I know, and I wish it weren't true. I'm not saying any of this because I'm hoping for this. Mears has been uniquely horrible at this job. I will say this, though. This is Indianapolis's version or Marion County's version of a problem we see in every big city. We have tons and tons of people just like Mears doing exactly the same thing, refusing to enforce the law in the most basic of ways. And I don't understand how that's actually something that Democrats want. I truly don't get that part of the conversation.
One of the because it's their voter base, and one of the issues that you have in these blue cities is runaway rampant criminality. An issue is something that happened right around the corner from where I live a few months ago in May. There was a shooting at a gas station. I've been to that gas station, Craig, and this was between 26-year-old Isaac Garcia and 21-year-old Darius Averett, who got mad because Garcia had offered to change his flat tire or fix his flat tire for $10. But then at the end of that, he asked for 30, and somehow this dispute ended in gunfire and the loss of life for Isaac Garcia.
Yeah, that's a horrible story. And actually, when I was living in Illinois, I know this is not recent, but just like you, I met someone, and then the next day he was shot and killed in gun violence. And Illinois is notorious. I know, notorious for being as bad, if not worse, than anywhere else in the country for this kind of stuff.
Doesn't that just kind of, make you appreciate and reflect on the value of life when you have something like that happen? When you know somebody who, passes away like that very tragically, or I had on the road one time, I almost died. I was driving on 465 when for some reason a golf ball sized steel ball bearing shot through my windshield like a bullet and embedded itself in the passenger seat headrest.
Wow.
I suspect that it came from some kind of roadworks equipment because some roadworks equipment was going on the other side of the highway. But, you know, those kind of close encounters make you appreciate the value of your existence.
Yeah, for that one, I pull over and I start praying to God and thank him that it didn't hit me.
We got another story here in Indiana, and this also has to do with Interstate 465, where they are removing those variable speed limit signs. I'm very excited about this because at the end of the day, it's a speed trap. It's a way for them to move the goalposts and increase their ticket revenue. Here was a report from WTHR.
Senator Aaron Freeman added the section banning the signs. NDOT maintains they improve safety by allowing it to slow traffic based on traffic and weather needs. Here's some of the debate from the Senate floor.
So let's keep every tool in the tool belt for our hardworking men and women of NDOT. Please defeat this amendment. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You just heard the difference between the Republican and the Democratic Party right there. I am firmly of the belief that you as a driver can figure out when you need to slow down. I am firmly of the belief that I don't need NDOT to put a sign up to tell me to slow down when traffic is stopped in front of me. I believe Hoosiers are smarter than that.
Hundreds of people responded to Coulter-Young's post about the signs. Critics called the signs unnecessary, confusing, and even a potential speed trap. But both sides agreed on one thing: leaving them unused is a waste of taxpayer money.
At first, we didn't know what to do with all the money. We tried burying it, shredding it, and burning it. But in the end, we decided to just give it all away.
It's amazing how no matter whether it's state or federal government, the one thing they succeed at in spades is wasting your money. How do you feel about the variable speed limit signs, Craig? Because I see they have them in Texas. That's one of the states they have these.
Yeah, I do live in Houston. They have it outside of Dallas. I've seen them before, and they definitely seem like a way to trick somebody into speeding in an area you shouldn't speed in. Because I think they can drop it by like 10 miles per hour. So if you're an average everyday commuter in a certain spot, suddenly you're going 20 miles over the speed limit instead of 10, and you're getting pulled over for a ticket. That part sucks. I got to be honest, though, man, we got to find a way to reuse them. Like, there's got to be something else they can do. There's got to be some other sign that they can put or some other writing they can put in that area, because you can't just throw this money in the toilet. I can use them. They could all be advertisements for WIBC. Let's just put the call letters up and do it that way.
Maybe they could reuse the electronic components out of them some way, but I agree we need to recoup the taxpayer loss here from their investment in equipment that is now outlawed by the General Assembly. Ridiculous.
Yeah, you got to try something, man. I mean, like, give me a shot if nobody else can do it.
I do think it's kind of bullcrap, though, that those variable speed limit signs, because how can you prove what and where the speed limit sign was if you're pulled over and you dispute it and say, well, no, the speed limit's supposed to be this, and they claim that the sign had changed it? How do you even go about proving something like that? I'm fine with the speed limit remaining consistent here.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know. I mean, it depends on when the cop is pulling you over, I guess. Do they have it on their dash cam as they're driving by the speed sign with you that shows the actual mileage that it stated at that time? It is weird to think about it. Does it store the mileage that it's changing to and from? And you could also say it was glitchy. Like, you could make that argument that I couldn't see exactly what it was. It was bouncing back and forth.
And regardless of the speed limit and the speed limit sign, I think there is always conferred upon a driver the legal obligation to not drive recklessly. And if you see that the speeds are not conducive to traveling the speed limit, then it's already your obligation to slow down regardless of what the speed limit sign is. And I think Aaron Freeman is correct that it's the Hoosiers' responsibility to behave.
Yeah, I do like that excuse because I've seen it before here in Texas, too, that the only reason they have it is in case there's bad weather or something going on. So essentially, they think I'm so dumb that I'll barrel into a situation where I can obviously tell I should probably slow down.
That is always the nanny state impulse to take away your control and freedom. Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins on the radio. Coming up next, you'll never believe the levels of fraud that have been uncovered in the Human and Health Services here in the United States. This, according to RFK Jr., will tell you the staggering total. Coming up next, stay tuned.
As America celebrates 250 years, WIBC takes you inside the moments that built a nation.
The Spirit of 76, a 1-minute look at this day in the revolution.
the battles, debates, and turning points that transformed a collection of colonies into these United States.
Weekday mornings at 7:35 and 11:35, and afternoons at 3:35 and 6:35, or anytime on demand at WIBC.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's Terry Stacy, and thousands of people start the year with good intentions of losing weight and getting in shape by spring. For over 22 years, Exercise Inc. has helped Hoosiers build muscle and lose weight and transform their health, which means creating lifelong habits rather than a resolution most of us don't keep. Exercise Inc. works, and the best part about it, it only takes 20 minutes once a week. Their unique training method was developed in an osteoporosis research study to help prevent bone mineral loss in older women. The women in the study got very strong in a short amount of time. When the method is applied to normal, healthy adults, both men and women get a lot stronger. Their Simple 9 nutritional program has helped their clients lose over 40,000 pounds since 2013. They've also seen their clients lower blood pressure, improve blood sugar, and get off prescription meds. Get started right now. Avon, Brownsburg, Fishers, Greenwood, and Zionsville. Change your life in 20 minutes once a week. Go to exerciseinc.com to request a free consultation.
Jane is a small business owner.
That's right.
And tell them what that's like, Jane.
Yeah, well, it's like a roller coaster with a lot of ups and downs, and some days things can feel like they're flying off the rails.
Yep, it's a lot. But the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business can help you manage it all. With the largest, fastest fiber-powered network designed for 100% reliability with business internet and wireless connect. Plus gig speeds with security and equipment included. All with a 5-year price lock.
Nice. So everything stays on track.
Exactly. The Total Solutions Advantage. Get started for just $60 a month for 12 months when you add wireless connect to a qualifying internet package. No one does business like Comcast Business.
Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and automatic payments with bank account required. $60 offer requires 300 meg internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Hey, John, why so glum? I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? Have you heard of hepatitis C? Hepatitis C is a leading cause of liver cancer, yet it often has no symptoms. And people born from 1945 to 1965 are 5 times more likely to have it. But here's some good news. Treatments are now available that can cure hepatitis C, which is why you should talk with your doctor about getting a blood test for hepatitis C. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
The Attorney General's office wants to put your money back in your pocket. Visit indianaunclaimed.gov and search for yourself, your loved ones, or your business. It's fast, easy, and free.
Let Pierce Jewelers in Carmel take your older jewelry and gemstones and repurpose them into something new and exciting for that special occasion. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
This hour powered by Pierce Jewelers, designers of fine custom jewelry in Carmel.
Good morning. It's Tuesday on 93 WIBC. You're listening to Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins on the radio with producer Kev in the producer's fishbowl, beep, 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 pushing those buttons and doing the things to make the show function. Of course, this segment, we're going to talk about the staggering levels of fraud coming out of HHS as revealed by RFK Jr. But first, I got to tell you, Craig, Vivek Ramaswamy, gubernatorial candidate out of Ohio, is speaking my language. He's saying that they're going to reduce the property tax and eliminate the income tax. What are your thoughts on Vivek?
I love Vivek, and I love no income tax because I live in Texas. So a lot of things are really, really great, not just about the ideas, but the person, the way he carries himself. I liked Vivek a lot when he was running for the presidential nomination. So I'm all in.
Yes, I think he would be an excellent switch, especially from the Rhino Mike DeWine in Ohio. It would be a realignment of Midwestern political values. And then also, I just think he's an eloquent speaker. He has a way of revving up the crowd, and you can see that in his speech when he announced this policy to eliminate the income tax.
Because we're going to get rid of the income tax in the state. Zero income tax in the state of Ohio. It is your money, not the government's. You deserve to keep what you earn. We got to celebrate hard work and success. And if 8 other states have managed to do it, then so too will we here in Ohio. People ask me, how are you going to do it? Well, look, if we're the state that sent somebody to be the first man in the world to walk on the moon, this will not be the greatest challenge that Ohio has ever conceived. End the existent spending and overspending of waste, fraud, abuse in different parts of the state. Take a rational approach to get there. First, eliminating capital gains to allow for business formation. Articulate this to the rest of the country. Let the rest of the country know we're right here. A good governor who can market the state to the nation so people move back, so we have economic growth that allows us to go back to zero tax. We're going to get there while also bringing down the property tax burden in this state, which has gotten way too high. It is unjustly high in the state of Ohio.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Man, maybe Governor Braun here can take a few notes, crib notes from Vivek Ramaswamy. This is what we need to be talking about here in Indiana.
Amen to all the things that Vivek said. You know, I really wish that he had done more with Doge, to be honest. When Doge became this Elon Musk thing and everybody wound up attacking Teslas, one of the things that I was sad about was that even though Vivek was tied to it in the beginning, he seemed to take a significant backseat to Elon when I think he might have been better at some of that stuff, at leading some of that initiative, and it might have been more successful.
Well, unfortunately, Doge got left in the dust, and it was neither Vivek or Elon's fault. It's the administration for leaving it behind. I think this is one of the disappointments of the Trump administration, that he's lost focus on his original goals and campaign promises, one of them reining in the irresponsible federal spending. It's one thing to be aware of it. It's another thing entirely to actually address it. And for the first time, you had Vivek and Elon partnering together to do something about it. But now a lot of those funds, they've just been reabsorbed by the federal government. I'm not sure effectively we really saw one dime of taxpayer cuts.
Well, to be honest, going in, Doge couldn't actually make any hard decisions. They had to make recommendations, and then you had to rely not on the president, but actually on Congress to enact some of the things they were saying they wanted to do. So it's not like Doge actually had the ability to completely transform the amount of government spending. And you're about to talk about RFK Jr. Identifying $100 billion worth of fraud. I think the Trump administration is identifying and fighting fraud, in my opinion. And I think a lot of the things they're saying that are falling under maybe the consciousness of so many of us, because mainstream media refuses to report on it, is in fact a big part of what they're doing well. J.D. Vance, the vice president, has talked a lot about the amount of fraud that's being uncovered and the amount of people who are being thrown in the hoosegow. They're not the marquee names yet. The Ilhan Omars of the world aren't in jail, and I think they should be. But there are things happening, and there is fraud being uncovered.
I think it's great that they're not only uncovering the fraud, but they're specifically explaining the methods by which they go about it, as RFK Jr. did in this interview.
My agency loses about $100 billion a year to theft. People stealing.
HHS?
Yeah.
Okay.
$100 billion.
And theft?
Yes, let me tell you some of the ways they do it. One is we shut down 800 hospices. Typically, if you go to a hospice, you leave within 18 days because you're dying.
It's terminal.
Right? We started looking at these hospices in Los Angeles, and the people never died. They were there 2 or 3 years later. They were there, and we're paying $6,000 a month. So those hospices, when we went and looked for them,
per patient?
Yeah. We found a hotel room with 29 hospices in it. I mean, a hotel, every room was a hospice, and none of them had any patients. They were just addresses, and the guys who owned them were, they were Estonians, Armenians, and people from Eastern Europe who were getting the patient numbers. They were stealing them from doctors' offices.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
And he went on to explain that not only are they stealing the patient numbers from these doctors' offices, they're doing dumpster diving and all kinds of other things. They're bribing people that work in the clinics, but they're also going to these poor neighborhoods and bribing them with cash money or large TVs and then getting their information to sign them up for healthcare services. I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, this is where I say that this deserves to be credit given to the Trump administration for this. Like, this wouldn't be happening under Kamala Harris. You know that, and I know that. And it's billions of dollars of fraud and improper payments that this administration has uncovered. This is where I think they're not failing. We're just not having the right conversation about what they're doing to claw back taxpayer dollars.
Well, like I say, let's hold off on dispensing credit right now. Now they are paying the lip service, and that's good. They've identified the problem, but it's up to the Republican Congress to deliver. Let's not pretend that the Republicans don't have their hands on all three levers of government at this point. So if they want to address the problem, they can certainly move to do so. And
But
if Mike Johnson is serious,
yeah.
then let's deliver on that promise.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying, though, Ethan, and I don't mean to just argue for the sake of argument, but are you saying that you don't believe the Trump administration has actually uncovered and prevented billions of dollars worth of fraud and improper payments? Because they have.
I think right now they've identified it, but with the Doge cuts, the Doge cuts were reabsorbed into the federal agencies. So effectively, we didn't see any savings from that. Yes, they've nipped some fraud in the bud here and there, but I want to see that.
In that clip you just played, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said they shut down these organizations that were wasting money. They are not just identifying it. There is action being taken. I can create a list and we can go through it if we want later on, but it's simply inaccurate to say that they're not actually making moves. Even the Department of Education has admitted how much money has been stripped from them. So this is actually something that is actively occurring. It's not just something being talked about. I think this is a profound misunderstanding of the American people that involves how good of a job the Trump administration is actually doing.
To the extent that it's occurring, I want them to keep hitting the gas because this is the kind of policy that I 100% support out of the Trump administration.
I agree. I fully agree. But I do think it's important to make sure that credit is given when credit is deserved, and it is deserved here, in my opinion.
A fair point from Craig Collins. Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. We've got more topics to come. But first, it's Jake Daniels with the news.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The details have been released. 80 degrees in the Circle City and partly cloudy skies. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 9:31. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham died July 11th, and funeral services will be held July 28th in Washington, D.C., and the 29th in South Carolina. That's what U.S. Senator Darlene Graham announced. She was appointed to complete her brother's Senate term. The Treasury Department claims today it stopped nearly $100 million in payments to dead people. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Fox Business's Mornings with Maria the Government Accountability Office believes there could be more fraudulent payments they haven't stopped yet.
The GAO estimates that it might be, this number might be up to $500 billion, which is about 1.66% of GDP.
And the department says it's screened over 800 million payments so far, rather. And tickets are on sale today for Southern California's new art museum from the creator of Star Wars. The Lucas Museum of Narrative Art promises to explore storytelling through visual art, from prehistoric cave paintings to what people are watching today. And your opening bell report on 93 WIBC is brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management. The Dow is up 179 points to start the day at 52,252. The S&P 500 up 33 points to 7,517. And the NASDAQ up by 395.5 to 29,174. I'm Jake McDaniel, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Lose weight. Alex Goen patented hypnosis.
This is Lisa Stofan. Heard the weight loss hypnosis hype? I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods. I lost another 10 pounds. I brought my husband. He lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved.
The only weight loss method in America proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office because it reprograms your subconscious. Engineered to kill cravings, emotional eating, late-night fridge attacks, full on half the food, so you lose the weight weight and keep it off. 10 pounds, 30, whatever your goal, only $59.99 or your money back. Weight loss seminar Sunday, July 26th, Hilton Garden Inn Airport, 11 a.m. Stop smoking 2 p.m. Or Monday, July 27th, Holiday Inn Express Noblesville, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking 8 p.m. Sign up at alexgoen.com. Goen. That's alexgoen.com.
At My Eye Doctor, we're here to help you see your best and find your style. Whether you need new contacts, an updated prescription, or designer frames, your local My Eye Doctor team will help you find the right fit. And because your vision can change over time, annual eye exams are an important part of protecting your long-term eye health. We welcome all insurance plans, and for a limited time, get a complete pair of glasses starting at just $95. Visit MYEYEDR.com to schedule your eye exam today.
You came in for gas. Then you spotted those sweet kolaches. 2 for $5. Yes, please. Then you grabbed the coffee. Then you thought, savory kolaches 2 for $7? That's lunch. Then you noticed dinner was already made too, by chefs. Really? Yes. And that's how a 5-minute stop turns into your favorite part of the day. Leo's Market and Eatery is more than a stop. It's a destination for fresh-made meals, premium coffee, snacks, dinner for the family, and kolaches. The hardest part about stopping at Leo's is deciding what to leave with. Leo's Market and Eatery.
Mark Dietel, the only real estate agent I would trust with the sale of my home and finding me a new one to move into. Crystal in Franklin knows how good Mark Dietel is. She was moving to Kentucky, needed to move fast. She got the Dietel marketing plan and was blown away. The plan worked. She got full list price in the first weekend. Just like that, Mark and his team got it done. Mark Dietel could do the same for you.
What separates Mark Dietel from the competition is the guarantee. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Mark Dietel, the best in the business. Call him right now, 317-755-4232, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com. Ask about the guarantee and tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Caring for someone nearing the end of life brings questions you may never feel ready to answer. Like, when is the right time to ask about hospice? How do you balance medical needs with honoring someone's final wishes? This is Tina McIntosh, founder of Joy's House and co-host of Caregiver Crossing. Hospice is more than care at the end of life. Stay tuned.
Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you.
Hospice teams provide medical support, yes, but they also provide guidance and counseling and comfort. Caregivers share how hospice gave them moments of peace they didn't see coming. Sitting together, sharing stories, simply resting without fear. Hospice doesn't take your role away. It makes space for you to step back in your most important role as someone who loves someone who is dying. Caregiver Crossing brings honest conversations about hospice and many other parts of caregiving every Sunday morning. Or you can visit joyshouse.org for past episodes and resources. Rated by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana.
Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. This is the 9 to noon show with Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins. A little bit of housekeeping before we get the segment started. I wanted to apologize to newsman Jake McDaniel. I knew what his name was. That was wrong. I knew it as I was saying it. I'm like, no, it's not Jake Daniels. Come back words. You ever have that happen to you, Craig?
100,000%, Ethan. And the funny thing about radio is we can't hide any of the mistakes we make. They're out there for everyone to hear.
No, they are. Despite the fact that we have, the mighty power that the microphone grants us, we are far from infallible. Far from infallible.
And honestly, man, it makes us human. Hopefully, the people like us for the mistakes we make.
Yes. So, just wanted to apologize for getting his name wrong. That is very unprofessional. Bad, Ethan. Don't do that. Somebody else who I'm sure would love to take their words back if they could is this Florida student by the name of Jarrett Vick. This is the latest in what is becoming a trend of transgender freakouts. Have you seen these videos, Craig?
Yes, they're insane.
Absolutely. And if you haven't gotten to listen to this yet, listeners, buckle up, because it's some crazy stuff. Here's Jarrett Vick. And mind you, let's set the stage for the listener, okay? So he wasn't even the focus of this police interaction. This police officer shows up to campus there at the university in Central Florida, responding to a report of a stolen vehicle. And then this blue-haired, transgendered individual starts being distressed by the police officer's presence, and this is how they respond.
What's the problem?
Why do you let those kids get away with this? They are not supposed to be here!
If you don't lower your voice, I am going to put handcuffs on you, and I'm going to take you to a Baker Act facility. You lower your voice.
Try it.
Are you threatening me?
You're threatening me.
Are you threatening me?
I'm just...
Because I'm here right now to deal with a stolen vehicle. I ain't got time to hear you screaming and yelling.
I don't have time to constantly be abused.
We'll get OPD down here then, because I gotta work this stolen vehicle. Can we get another unit to deal with Jay Lee here? He is having a breakdown.
Shay! Just say the right pronoun!
What'd you say? Get down on the ground right now.
No! No!
You're about to get sprayed.
No!
Get down on the ground right now.
Leave me alone!
I can come in there.
Leave me alone, please!
Okay, are you gonna calm down?
I'm getting my phone out. I have to film it.
Tell me.
I will calm down. I will calm.
You know what this is?
I will calm down when you get the pepper spray out of my face. Leave me alone. Just please, just stop pointing the pepper spray at me. I will calm down if you do that. Stop threatening me. Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
The more videos that come out like this, Craig, I swear it's inching us as a country to being closer than ever to being done with this crap, this nonsense.
Oh, I think a lot of us are done with this nonsense. But yes, I think that more and more people are coming over to the sweet, sweet side of it's ridiculous. My favorite part in this video, though, I have two. My favorite two parts in the video is when the guy says that he's pretty much done with this. Right at the beginning, he's like, I don't got time for this. And then also when she starts screaming and yelling, he starts screaming and yelling when the guy finally is actually pepper sprayed. And he was like, don't do this anymore. Stop doing this. I love when they get the punishment that they seem to be demanding. And all of a sudden, the person who's being punished is like, wait a minute, I don't want this anymore. You can back up. I'll be compliant now.
What I thought was so incredible is that even as he's being taken down by the police officers, even when, crap has officially fully hit the fan and he's being wrestled to the floor, he's still trying to critique the officers and scream at them about using the correct pronouns.
Yeah,
I just want to get away from him. I understand that. Stop misgendering me! Just say Shay!
Alpha 73.
Josh, can you please just tell them to use the right pronouns? Please! You know it's causing me a lot of distress.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you very nicely. Put your stuff down, turn around, put your hands behind your back.
Delta 70 Riley over here.
Not going to be arrested.
Put your stuff down.
No.
Put your hands behind your back.
No.
Okay, so I'm only gonna ask you one more time. You can record all you want, but it's already beyond that point.
You're stressing me out.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just asking you to please stop stressing.
We already tried to help you, so.
No, you didn't. You came in with hostile intent.
Put your hands.
Be alone.
Get on the ground right now.
Don't hurt me.
Get on the ground right now.
Don't hurt me.
Get down on the ground right now.
Hey. I got a couple like this. I got a Get down. Leave me alone. Help me.
Get down. Get him down.
Excellent.
Just chef's kiss. No notes. And I heard you giggling when he screams like, you came in here with hostile intent.
Yes, that was amazing. To be totally honest, as this whole thing transpires and as this guy is going as insane as he is, the thing I keep thinking is, does that ever work? Does screaming at the top of your lungs to a cop ever cause the situation to go better for the person doing it? The answer would be no.
No, never in the history of police interactions has a tactic like that actually succeeded. No more than when you have some of these sovereign citizens that get pulled over for minor traffic infractions and start to argue and say, no, you can't ticket me, I'm traveling. I'm not driving, I'm traveling, and traveling is a constitutional right.
Well, and also what's amazing about it is the constant yelling like that the person is emotionally upset. When he's like, you're upsetting me, you're upsetting me. Who cares? We're in the middle of arresting you. I feel like you'll be emotionally upset. And guess what? You don't have control over that being a thing that stops. It's going to keep happening because you've been a ridiculous, insane person.
What I think is important to emphasize is that this is far from an isolated incident. This is part of a broader pattern of behavior from these people. Why? Because they are fundamentally emotionally and mentally disturbed, disquieted. They need to be treated compassionately, but not enabled.
Well, but they are being enabled.
They are, right.
So often, in so many ways, even the way in which people refer to people by a gender that they're evidently not. That's something that enables people quite a bit to think that, all right, any emotional demand I have now from society, they'll placate me. And if they don't placate me, it's their fault, not mine. And honestly, you're seeing this take over the Democratic Party as a whole. This is where, and I know we have a planned piece of audio later in the show, you're starting to hear some Democrats and some Democratic pundits say, we're going too far. This is what woke does. It keeps pushing further and further down the rabbit hole of the craziest person in the room was treated like their idea made sense.
We've been lied to that this quote-unquote gender-affirming care is the cure for their mental distress, that if you just play along with the delusion, then they're going to have better and happier outcomes. When we've seen, if anything, by playing into these delusions, we have more outbursts, less stability than we've had in the past, and there seems to be no improvement with things like the incredible rates of self-harm among this particular community.
Well, and what's even more terrifying is the younger and younger ages in which they're advocating for us to do things that are irreversible. When you're telling someone to change the body of a child so that that person, that child can be happier, and that's the excuse given by the people who believe in this and the things they tell their parents, and then inevitably it doesn't work. By and large, any study done into people who've actually taken some sort of knife to their body, they inevitably say that it didn't actually fulfill them, it didn't change whatever the thing was that was empty in them. And more young people, you hear this. My mom's a teacher in South Bend, and she talks about all the time how young kids come into school with different crazy demands, like crazier and crazier things that they say. And it's the role of the people in those places to accept certain things. But it's just insane, the younger and younger people who say that, like, this is who I am, this is what you should refer to me as, and how much it plays into the delusion of what inevitably becomes a much more serious mental health problem as someone ages.
I had one more piece of audio that I thought it might be worthwhile to play from just a few months ago. This was the last major viral transgender freakout moment that I think most people saw from Oklahoma when Rob Hopkins was jailed for contempt of court after repeatedly sparring with the judge, Lori Jackson. I think most people are familiar with that. Do you want to hear this audio, Craig, or would you rather end the segment now and then go to albino Buffalo saved because of his resemblance to Donald Trump?
No, man, I love audio. Play some more.
Okay. Well, this is Rob Hopkins, the transgendered attorney, the moment when they were arrested in the courtroom for contempt against the judge.
I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
Put your hand behind
your back. I cannot breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! I can't breathe! Somebody go on Iron Run! Please! 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 Ow! 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 Somebody call 911! Somebody call 911! Somebody call... I know you're coming now. All right, we're going to pick you up. I don't. Get a female officer now! Get a female officer now! Get a female officer now! There aren't any.
I'm on my land. We're both in America, which used to be a good country, until they started letting people like you do whatever you want.
I so wish one of those officers in the moment had the presence of mind to say, well, I identify as a female officer. Problem solved.
Would have been amazing. By the way, Claudia nailed it in the YouTube chat. The power of Christ compels you. I think that was a demon. I think we heard a demon.
Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. Coming up next, an albino buffalo. His life was saved. Why? We'll tell you more. Stay tuned.
Hammer and Nigel show, back at it right after the news at 3. We're going to have a great show. Everything's going to be awesome. And then we're going to do caller roulette and ruin it all.
The Honda Summer Event will have you doing a double take at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Look at these deals. Lease a 2026 Accord LX or a 2027 HRV all-wheel drive, each for only $2,500 down and just $250 a month for 36 months at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Tax not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. Not combinable with other offers. 10,000 miles per year. $2,500 due at signing. Does not include first month's payment, documentation fee, or acquisition fee. All applicable fees due at signing. Offer ends 8/31/26. See dealer for complete details.
This summer, don't just dream it, do it. Right now, Financial Center is offering home equity lines of credit with no closing costs, so you can bring your plans to life without the upfront expense. Upgrade your space, tackle big projects, or take control of high-interest debt, all with flexible access to your home's equity through your local credit union. Start now at fcfcu.com/equity. That's fcfcu.com/equity. Subject to underwriting guidelines. Not all will qualify. Offer subject to change. See website for terms and conditions. Equal housing opportunity.
Hammer here for my friends at Technology Recyclers. Tech-recyclers.com. It is so important to make sure your electronics get destroyed properly. The last thing you want is your data, your information, to be out there for anybody to grab. This is where Technology Recyclers come into play. They guarantee 100% certified data destruction, eliminating all concerns regarding any sort of data breach. These guys are the best. Tech-recyclers.com, and be sure to ask about their free business pickup.
Are you looking for a great deal on a certified pre-owned vehicle? Well, we've got them at Tom Roush Lincoln and Fishers.
Choose from a great selection of Lincoln certified pre-owned Nautilus, Aviator, Corsair, and Navigator, all with the confidence of a 6-year, 100,000-mile comprehensive warranty coverage. Get rates as low as 1.99% on qualifying Lincoln certified pre-owned models.
So upgrade to that Lincoln luxury at Tom Roush Lincoln and Fishers.
Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a U.S.-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
WIBC is sending you to the 2026 Indiana State Fair. Listen for your chance to win a family 4-pack with 4 admission tickets to Indiana's biggest summer celebration. You can also purchase tickets and find all the latest deals at indianastatefair.com.
Welcome back to 93 WIBC, the 9 to noon show with Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins on the radio, producer Kev and the producer's Fishbowl. If you've liked what we've done so far, make sure to hop on the YouTube machine, smash that like button, let the station know you appreciate what you hear. This segment, thought we'd end the hour with a bit of a feel-good story, an albino buffalo whose life was saved, all thanks to his resemblance to Donald Trump, as reported by 7 News in Sydney.
A rare albino buffalo nicknamed Donald Trump has been spared from sacrifice after going viral online. The buffalo, named for its blonde hair and resemblance to the US president, was due to be killed during the Islamic holiday of Eid, but after videos spread online, local authorities stepped in, moving the beast to a farm.
Victory screech!
didn't have to be sacrificed to the Muslims after all, thanks to his resemblance to Donald Trump. I love stories like this, Greg. Have you seen the buffalo?
I've seen the buffalo. The buffalo has Trump-ish hair. I'll say that. I don't know if I don't think the president would be thrilled to hear that he looks like Trump, but his hair does.
Well, his hair looks like Trump. You can't deny the resemblance to the hair.
It's true. And the thing I would say that's most amusing about this is that Trump was not involved in sparing this buffalo. Had he been, it would actually be an issue and people would be talking about it. Much like the reversed red card in the World Cup. I think that if Trump said, hey, don't kill the Trump buffalo, that everybody would be up in arms saying, how dare you involve yourself in conflicts abroad and not here in the United States.
They should pardon the buffalo. It's a beautiful buffalo, the best buffalo that has wandered the plains.
I didn't know you did a Trump.
My Trump is only modest. I think I do a much better Barack Obama when I want to than Donald Trump. But
we'll do puppets in the third hour, so you'll do as many as you want.
Lots of entertainment yet to come. I think this first hour has gone stellar. By the way, Craig, I've had a lot of fun talking about these topics.
Yeah, me too.
And we've got so much on the way. As a matter of fact, we've got hour 2 coming up. Tell us some of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about the information that has come out about the the actual bombing in New York City and Manhattan of an ICE facility there. And one of the sort of sadder stories that came from this that demonstrates how ill-informed, how poorly thought out these things are that these insane people do. I also really like Tom Homan getting very upset with the press yesterday because Tom, even though he's been very, very good, I think, at this job and occasionally seems to placate the left more than anyone else does that holds a position like this. Tom Homan was also asked some questions that he thought obviously pushed him in a road that was completely unfair to ICE as a whole. And he made some points about that I thought were great. So I'd love to play that audio. And finally, Scott Jennings crushed it, as he always does on CNN, dealing with the insanity of the other side. So I have some Scott Jennings audio to play. A lot of things coming up. We are thrilled to be here, as Ethan Hatcher said, on 93 WIBC on your 9 to noon show. Ethan, take us away.
Stay tuned. You're listening to WIBC.
My kids were saying, why didn't you do this at the old house when we lived with you?
Your neighbors have a lot to say about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like Beth.
In our old house, we just had the old concrete flooring in the garage and it's so dirty. And I decided when we built this new home that I was going to be doing our garage floors and our back patio right off the top. And of course, Galaxy was the quote I went with.
And Galaxy's not epoxy. It's 4 times stronger.
Some of the things that were the deciding factors was Galaxy's lifetime warranty. That's huge. I was surprised that not everyone offered that.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings is UV resistant with no yellowing and 4 times stronger than epoxy.
The Galaxy crew was amazing. They were so clean. They picked up after themselves. I can't say enough about them.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com and remember to like us on Facebook.
And the movers even commented. And the movers say they see lots of these floors. So they really liked it and asked us who we used. And I told them we used Galaxy.
We are out of this world.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. To celebrate America, we are having our biggest Made in the USA sale ever. Save big on brands like Lazy Boy, Ashley, Tempur-Pedic, and outdoor furniture by Berlin Gardens. Indiana-made brands like Smith Brothers, Best, Hollywood, and Sealy and Stearns & Foster mattresses. Hurry! Sale ends Monday only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus with free delivery and interest-free financing.
Ben Franklin here to talk to you about water filtration. Unfiltered water in your home is no joke. Did you know tap water can shorten the life of your pipes and even worse, be dangerous to your family's health? Our punctual plumbers can install a whole home system that filters water before it enters your pipes. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com or call 877-BEN-1776 to request an appointment.
Go with the flow, the local pros call Benjamin Franklin Plumbing.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
July is America's 250th birthday. Declare your independence from low testosterone at Low T Center.
Start with a free T-test. Stay on treatment for 90 days and receive $250 back. Low T Center's $250 for $250. Visit fixmylowt.com.
Come join the Radio 1 team as a part-time promotions assistant to represent our stations at community events and concerts. If you love public events, this could be the perfect summer job for you. Apply at urban1.com/careers. careers. Must have a valid driver's license. Radio 1 is an equal opportunity employer. Everything costs more these days. Groceries, gas, all of it. So why pay $10 for body wash? Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash cleans your face and body in one bottle. 80% of men agree Suave Men cleans just as well as the leading brands for half the price. Less than $5 at Walmart.
Don't miss Puccini's under $10 lunch special. Pizza, award-winning salad, and drink for under $10. With 7 Northside locations, visit Puccini's for lunch.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. That's 800-659-7540.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Price Point Comfort Mitsubishi Electric Studios, what you'll hear from the Indianapolis Fraternal Order of Police president this afternoon. You'll hear what investigators know so far about a shooting in Indianapolis and what an Indiana Republican senator is defending. Those stories coming up next in a couple minutes on 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1, Indianapolis. It's now 10 o'clock.
The midterm elections are only 15 weeks away. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. And ahead of the voting, with control of Congress at stake, Fox News Power Rankings just came out this morning, projecting Republicans and Democrats even for now in the Senate, with these races deciding the majority.
4 states are all toss-ups. One's Alaska. By the way, that's ranked choice voting. It could go a week out in Alaska if we're really that tight come November. Iowa, we have a toss-up. State of Ohio and the state of Maine.
Fox's Bill Hammer. The rankings give Democrats a slight edge in the House, with Fox polling showing 68% disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. It's primary day in Arizona with races for Congress and governor, and in South Carolina, the filing period opens for Republicans for next month's special primary to replace late Senator Lindsey Graham as the GOP nominee. His sister Darlene, now a senator appointed to finish her brother's current term, tells Fox she'll run to keep the seat.
He's worked so hard for so long. I can't just let that die.
Now, a funeral is planned a week from today for late Senator Lindsey Graham at Washington's National Cathedral, then another funeral next Wednesday in South Carolina. War Secretary Pete Hegseth could face tough questions from Democrats today at a Senate hearing where he'll push for $87 billion in new military funding as the U.S. keeps attacking Iran, which keeps retaliating.
Sirens sounded across Bahrain amid incoming Iranian missile fire. The Jordanians say they shot down at least 5 incoming Iranian drones. This does follow another heavy night of U.S. strikes against Iran. It was the 10th consecutive night aimed at degrading Iran's ability to threaten vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Early this morning, Iran attacked another tanker off the coast of Oman, forcing the crew to evacuate the vessel.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. President Trump has warned Iran they'll pay many times over for any American deaths after 4 U.S. troops were killed last week. The War Department this morning identified the soldier who died in Iraq as Sergeant Michael Swinton from North Carolina. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why he'll demand answers from the prosecutor. You've got partly cloudy skies and 81 degrees in downtown Indy. I'm Jake McDaniel. This report is brought to you by Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Indy FOP President Rick Snyder is holding a news conference this afternoon at 1, calling for answers from Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears. This comes after a judge ruled Mears violated federal and state constitutions and law. Indianapolis police arrested a teenager because of a shooting on Indy's Northwest West Side last night. The cops found someone shot on Oakwood Trail near Georgetown Road, and medics took them to a hospital. IMPD said today they detained 18-year-old Corvante Martin at the scene. He was then taken into custody on preliminary charges of robbery and aggravated battery. In 2021, police say a woman was shot and killed in that same area. Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks says birthright citizenship shouldn't apply to people who enter the country illegally. That's what he told WIBC's Tony Katz on Monday after the Supreme Court issued a ruling on President Trump's executive order.
When you look at that language and that statute, what the Supreme Court didn't rule on is, Kavanaugh said this, if Congress needs to tweak the language about what an invasion is.
The Supreme Court rejected Trump's attempt to change the rules around birthright citizenship. The justices ruled 6-3 that children born in the U.S. to parents who are in the country illegally or temporarily are still protected as citizens under the 14th Amendment. A new initiative in Boone County aims to take the fear out of the courtroom for children involved in criminal cases.
Prosecutor Kent Eastwood partnered with Sylvia's Child Advocacy Center and the Community Foundation to create 3 video tours that explain the justice process in an approachable way. Prosecutor Eastwood says reassurance is key for young witnesses.
It's completely okay to feel nervous. We're here to guide you through this. If you ever want someone to explain something again or in a different way, just let us know. Your victim advocate will be with you every step of the way.
The videos walk through children through the Advocacy Center, prosecutor's office, and courthouse security before they ever visit in person. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And we're just over a week away from the start of Indianapolis Colts training camp. It'll be held at Grand Park in Westfield again for the last time. I'm Jake McDaniel on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins coming up in 1 minute. It's 10:04.
Using chat to research your next home improvement project? Forget all the prompts, okay? I've got all the details on a company you can trust. For replacement windows and doors without the hassle, just look up Window Nation. They're the real deal. Homeowners across the country love the one-day installation process, especially since Window Nation installers leave your home cleaner than when they started. This month, you can get 50% off all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 2 years. That's a whole lot of savings on top-quality windows and doors.
Window Nation backs each window with a lifetime transferable warranty. That's on top of team members double and triple checking their work from initial measurements to the final installation. Reach out to Window Nation today to get the windows featured on HD TV's Designing Spaces. This month, you could save 50% on all window styles, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2028. Get a free quote at windownation.com. It's windownation.com. Window Nation is the real deal when it comes to replacement windows and doors.
I see a red door and I want it into black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black.
93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins. He is Ethan Hatcher. We are in today on your 9 to noon show and thrilled to be here. I do want to play some audio in just a second, Ethan, of a couple things. One is an announcement that came after the bombing that occurred in Manhattan at an ICE facility, and it's a uniquely kind of sad, not that anything would be different than sad. This whole thing is horrible, and there's a deranged lunatic who tried to blow something up. But one of the aspects of it that we were notified of yesterday kind of went viral, and I understand that. Also, I thought that Tom Homan did a really good job of getting angry with the press and trying to point out that ICE agents are moms and dads and humans, even though press members seem to continually not treat them like that. But before I get into any of that, I thought this reporting from our television partner, Fox 59 News, about the former academic director who stole $100,000 at least of money, Angela Ruiz Pierce, 54 years old, is insane. A bunch of, I think, level 5, level 6 felony charges for fraud and theft. She used a company credit card that she was issued after getting her gig to do like spa treatments, Botox, buy some jewelry, all kinds of stuff. And this was popping up on the credit card for a period of time that I think ended in early February of this year, but just sort of surreal. And I think it took a certain level of charges after she was fired, about $30,000 or so, for them to catch her. and notice how long she'd been doing this. What's your reaction to the craziness of this story?
How do people think that they're going to get away with financial crimes like this, especially in a world where like every transaction, unless you're strictly using cash, and there's still ways that they can track that, but unless you're strictly using cash, all these charges are going to show up on the bill. Like they don't think that the university is going to notice you're taking yourself to the spa. Seriously?
Yeah. Well, what's crazy about this is it did take a while. Like, to be honest, she had been doing it since, it seems, July of 2025 until February of 2026, and no one had really caught on. Some of the items she bought, a 10K white gold band for $449.
Wow.
A 14K white gold diamond set of earrings for $6,000. A knife set that was $1,600, and then more jewelry, other crazy things, spa treatments, as I said, and $108,000 spent on Amazon.com.
A knife set is such like the trashiest thing that you could possibly buy. Like, is she just sitting up late at night watching Quality Value Channel, you know?
It seems like.
QVC.
Well, and I wonder.
I want that knife set.
Yeah, I wonder, too, if, like, you do a couple charges and you get away with it, or at least you think you get away with it, even though eventually you will get caught. Luckily, she did. And then you just keep upping the ante. You're like, let me get the $500 earrings. Now I'm going to go for the $6,000 ones.
It emboldens you for sure for a period of time, but 6 months is not a hugely long crime spree.
No.
So fortunately, they caught up to her pretty quick.
Yeah, no, and honestly, the fact that she tried to do $30,000 the day she was fired, that was probably not a good move. They might have been checking the credit card after they let you go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to some national stories that I thought were interesting. First, I want to play some audio of the press conference that was held yesterday. FBI Assistant Director in charge talking to the press about the bombing attack in Manhattan on an ICE building. One of the people that was injured was an immigrant, and one of the things that was canceled was a process that naturalizes citizens. So even though this deranged lunatic person, even though this deranged lunatic person was trying to harm ICE, he actually harmed the people that he probably thought he was defending. Here's a little bit of that audio.
His goal was to target the building. He said that and I'm not going to get into all the details of a post-arrest interview, but he was Mirandized, read his rights. He did agree to talk. In that post-arrest interview, he did say he was targeting the building and he was okay if he hurt or killed people going in and out of the building, whether they were federal employees or civilians. I would mention a lot of business was canceled, not by the Federal Protective Services. Federal Protective Services, once they mitigated the situation, the building remained open, employees could come and go, and we continue to do work. But some agencies decided to close business for the day. There was a naturalization ceremony scheduled for today that was canceled. And the one civilian victim was an immigrant that had a hearing today for their immigration.
You know, it's uniquely horrible in general, but it sort of reminds me when he's saying in the middle of that the person who did this didn't care who they hurt. They just were going to a place where they thought that they might hurt a disproportionate amount of people that are involved with ICE. It reminds me of the 2026 White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, where that person also said they would mow down anyone to get into the room and to kill Trump and anybody in his orbit, including like wait staff. That was one of the things that was stated there is I'll take any life I need to get all the way through. Thankfully, that person fully failed. But it just shows you how crazy and deranged these lunatics are and how much they seem to convince themselves that what they're doing is somehow in the public interest, even though the people they're most likely to harm are people that are directly connected to the issues they think are important.
Exactly. And I was about to emphasize their willingness to hurt the people that they claim to support. This isn't even the first time that one of these deranged leftist lunatics has attacked an ICE facility and then inadvertently ended up harming migrants in the process. I believe it was that facility. I think it was in Texas where they had a shooting last year at an ICE facility that ended up harming migrants in the process.
Yeah, no, it's the cause of it, though, the catalyst to it is the thing that I'm most intrigued about. And I'm a free speech person. I think we have the absolute right, everyone does, to free speech. I don't want to censor anyone. And I get annoyed when I hear the left say that someone on the right is radicalized by the president or radicalized by speech within the conservative party or, MAGA, whatever you want to call it. And yet so often I'm seeing an example of this on the left. And what I think is valuable in stating when they attack one side for what they believe to be a problem is that they need to own up to it if, in fact, they're doing it too, or maybe to some of us, they're the only ones doing it. A case in point was this audio from Tom Homan. Tom was answering questions with the press, and at one point he felt uniquely upset in how often the questions seemed to be, assuming that ICE agents were just terrible, awful people. And so Tom had enough. Homan has done a really good job, in my opinion, of tap dancing on that line of these are the things that are important and these are the things that we should focus on. And also it seems to reach across that aisle and reach people on the other side. Certainly with what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and how he was sent in, it seemed to quiet a lot of what was going on there. But here's Homan getting pretty mad.
Guys, ICE agents are mom and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day to do this job. And it's just not attack on the ICE agents, attack on their spouses and children, and no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic and it's disgusting.
He walks away as he says it's pathetic and disgusting, and he states as simply as he can, he's just enforcing laws. And this is a problem where now he can't go anywhere, can't go to the grocery store without needing a detail around him to protect him.
Don't mess around with Tom Homan. I like his no-nonsense approach. I mean, he is a real hardliner. He projects authority, but also professionalism. Somebody who you can tell is a real veteran of law enforcement and has dealt with this kind of thing for a very long time. He's seen the horrors that illegal immigration can wreak on society beyond just the economic damage, but the devastation of lives that are left behind as people are, these coyotes, they take people across the border, they take their money, and they don't care if they live or die during transit. They don't care if, they pass away in the heat stuffed in these, crowded box trucks in the middle of the desert for hours on end. They don't care who they sexually assault on their way over the border or the children whose lives are disrupted. So it's not compassionate to allow illegal immigration to continue, especially to the degree that the Biden administration encouraged it. And I think Tom Homan is somebody who innately understands this.
Yeah, no, he definitely gets it. And I've actually made this exact argument that you're making before, where you just envision someone who believes whatever the crazy narrative the left has told them is, that they can pack up. And I know this is emotional exploitation, but I'll do it. They can pack up and move. They ride the beast, the crazy train that goes through South America to get all the way up to here. And then they try to get into this country illegally with their kids to create a better life. All of those narratives you hear. And at the end of the day, the horrific things that could happen along that journey for someone who might make it, as you pointed out, because it's the literal drug cartel, the coyotes, who are facilitating that movement throughout their country. No matter where you come from, you don't have to come from South America to wind up on that path into Mexico to get into the United States. Sexual harassment, all the things you detail. So the more compassionate approach is to close the door so people don't think they should attempt to make that journey. They shouldn't fork over a bunch of money to, a drug cartel and hope for the best and then have the worst of the worst happen to them. The compassionate approach is to prevent this in the first place, to be the deterrent necessary to protect these people from the horrors of that entire trip.
That's why we have ordered processes so society does not descend into chaos. That seems obvious, but it needs reiterating, especially to the loony left.
Well, I know, and it's crazy because I can play audio of Barack Obama saying that people who come in illegally are skipping the line, and that's bad. And apparently they no longer believe that, which is crazy. I do want to play this, too, going back to the ICE discussion itself and the ICE facility that was attacked. Scott Jennings got upset, but does always a great job when he seems to think someone on a panel on CNN is saying an insane thing. Scott Jennings looked at people in the face and said, it's not a single guy. This is a long string of attacks on ICE personnel, ICE facilities, as Ethan pointed out a second ago, and it's the reason they wear masks. One of the biggest talking points of the left is that ICE agents need to not wear masks, need to have badges, identify themselves so that you can Google them online and see who they are, see who their family is, and that would be horrific as far as the likelihood of not only them being harmed, but the people they care about being harmed. Here's Scott Jennings making that point.
Of course, I agree with Homan, and it's not a single guy. This is another in a long string of attacks on ICE personnel, ICE facilities. There's been a massive spike in violence against ICE agents, really against all law enforcement, specifically federal law enforcement out there. So I think Mr. Homan is absolutely correct. And I think you've got members of Congress, the mayor of New York City, governors, as Homan said, all sorts of people out there who are using language that would lead someone to go do these kinds of things.
Exactly.
It's despicable. These people are effectively political vigilantes. They've been programmed by the left to go out and take matters into their own hands. And it ought to be stopped right now. I noticed Mamdani today, put out a statement saying, this is bad, we're going to cooperate. This is the same guy who has said some of the worst things about ICE, who says he wants to defund the police and makes a lot of anti-law enforcement rhetoric a staple of his political movement.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's amazing that this so often becomes like a hand-in-hand conversation where someone says, defund the police, but also these moments are horrible. Because in that moment, when someone is setting off a bomb in Manhattan, who do you think is rushing toward that area to try to protect people and stop the crazy person from harming more individuals?
I think the term political vigilante is an excellent term, and I'm not sure I've
fantastic.
heard it. Oh, yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not sure I've heard it used before, but I'm going to have to borrow that more often because that's exactly descriptive of what the left does. Encourage and fan the flames of political vigilantism, because these are the people, these are the folks who routinely tell us that we are living through the second coming of Nazi Germany, that this is just like 1930s Germany and the Third Reich risen again in the form of Republicans, and that they're going to take away your rights or put you into some kind of camp, take away your life and livelihood, and put the fear of God into these people until they eventually lash out and attack. And inevitably the left recoils and they say, well, that's not us. That's just a lone wolf. That's a lunatic. It has nothing to do with the rhetoric that we've been pouring into society. And it's just it's such disingenuous gaslighting from the left. I get sick of it.
Amen, Ethan. I want to play one more piece of audio, and then we'll take a break in a couple minutes. But this is Mamdani, just mentioned by Scott Jennings a second ago, continuing to say that he would like to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, which is surreal to hear. And he was challenged on this before. I played audio yesterday, both on WIBC, and then I filled in on Dana's show. And actually, selfish promotion. I will be in for Dana all week, so you can hear me at night here on WIBC on the Dana Lash show. But anyway, Mamdani continues to say that if he gets his way, or if someone advises him within his administration that he could do this, which they won't because he can't, I'll go ahead and answer that part already, he would like to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel, which is surreal to hear him continue to say.
I was reading your interview over the weekend and wanted to ask you more about your conversations with the your legal department about potentially arresting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I just want to know just what your feelings are when you look at, for example, your administration also reaching out to the Prime Minister of, the Ambassador of Iran. Just how you,
Yeah, which was probably a crime, by the way. Continue.
Reconcile the two of being so critical of the Israeli Prime Minister, but at the same time meeting with the Ambassador of Iran.
So I want to first clear up a few things. Our administration did not reach out to the Prime Minister of Iran. Our administration received a request from the Iranian consulate. And as soon as I heard of that, I made it clear that we are not meeting and we will not meet with the Israeli consulate here in New York City. And when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu, we're speaking about someone who's the subject of an international criminal court arrest warrant. And he's the subject of this arrest warrant for alleged crimes against humanity, for war crimes, and he's the architect of the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza as Israel's prime minister. These are not facts of my personal assessment. They are facts of public record.
That the United States does not acknowledge. We don't care about international law whatsoever.
This is why we don't care about the world courts. Screw that.
Right. Yeah, right, exactly, because we don't want them to try to control our country, which is one of the foundational aspects of the United States that I love so much, is our freedom to do what we want, how we want, when we want. But it's surreal. And he goes on to say that he believes that Netanyahu should be arrested and he's the one who should do it. And he knows factually that it can't happen. He knows he won't be able to do this. He's saying this for political reasons. But if you were ever to identify an individual or a type of rhetoric that becomes the thing that radicalizes the person who believes he's going to try to arrest Netanyahu, and then when it doesn't happen, someone wants to take matters into their own hands. These are those moments. These are those things that they accuse the right of, that they're constantly doing now as they go further and further into the rabbit hole of the crazy left.
The fact that he's still ringing that bell, I'm gonna arrest Bibi Netanyahu is why he has well earned the nickname Zoran the Moron.
He is insane. And honestly, that is true, that the worst combination of things possible are people who are arrogant and dumb. And he is both arrogant and dumb, like a lot of individuals are right now who are screaming that we should go to versions of communism that they like to call democratic socialism, but it has all the same earmarks, according to Bill Maher and several others. I think that's audio we're going to get to in a little bit. All right, we're going to take a break. After the break, I do want to talk about a crazy toy that's out there. This can be a little awkward, Ethan. I'm going to warn you in advance. It involves a pregnant mom toy that has gone viral, in the Today Show, I believe, spoke about this morning. Not the kind of thing I'd want to get a kid. And then also Jimothy the raccoon, who is now probably worth more money than both you and I combined, Ethan. I don't think that he's actually, using his social media success to gain the money he should. But Jimothy's out there, and he's apparently popular. All that coming up in a bit. This is Craig Collins, Ethan Hatcher filling in, 93 WIBC.
They had to abandon ship.
The news didn't wait for you today.
Crude oil tanker attacked by Iran today in the Strait of Hormuz.
This was the 10th consecutive night of strikes.
Mediators in Pakistan still trying to salvage the deal that had stopped the fighting.
What happens in Washington?
Trump is going after Canada again.
Lands on your street.
The Common Council has signed off on a plan to raise the wheel tax and vehicle excise surtax. The average price for gas nationwide is up above $4 a gallon.
93 WIBC.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here, and Gutter Helmet is celebrating America's 250th birthday the right way with $250 off gutter helmet installation of 150 feet or more. Leaves, debris, water damage don't stand a chance against Gutter Helmet, the #1 gutter protection system keeping Indianapolis's homes safe, dry, and worry-free. Rain or shine, all 4 seasons. So this July 4th, declare your independence from ladders, from clogs, from weekend gutter duty. This patriotic offer won't last long, and restrictions may apply. So don't let freedom slip through your fingers like water through a clogged downspout. No high-pressure sales, free estimate, 40 years family-owned, 3 generations strong. Call 1-800-5HELMET. That's 1-800-5HELMET, or visit them online at gutterhelmetindy.com. Call today, Gutter Helmet, because America deserves better gutters. Pat Sullivan here for the Michaelis Corporation. Storm damage? Call Michaelis. Here's Richard Michaelis.
Hi, Pat. Michaelis has served Central Indiana for over 40 years. We offer free home inspections and are experts in damage caused by rain, wind, hail, and tree impacts. We help you navigate the insurance process to make it as easy as possible.
If you suffered storm damage, call the local company you can trust. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Water, storms, fire, or wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Upgrade your flooring with Drexel Interiors. Shop pet-friendly carpet and luxury vinyl plank on sale now. Plus, get 12 months interest-free financing. Visit their Indianapolis or Carmel showrooms or drexelin.com.
This hour powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
93 WIBC. I am Craig Collins. He is Ethan Hatcher. We are your 9 to noon show today and thrilled to be here. I saw a story that the Today Show reported on, Ethan, and I was sort of shocked that it's a thing. And I actually had competing thoughts about it, which I'll admit to you in a second. A brand new toy that came out features what appears to be a pregnant mother with a baby inside of her stomach. And if you flip the little stomach thing over, out pops a slimy sack with an actual little baby doll squished into it. So an amniotic sack that you can burst open and have a little toy baby. And then the funniest part, you can flip the stomach again and then your doll has now a flat stomach. The pregnancy weight has been dropped. This is crazy. It'd be a weird thing to give a kid. I'll tell you my competing thoughts, but what's your reaction to the story?
I'm not necessarily troubled by this. People have been making anatomical, figurines for centuries, dating back, well until the 17th century. The human fascination with our own anatomy, I think, is fairly innate. So a tactful way of introducing this to children doesn't upset me.
See, I don't know if this is tactful, though, because you burst the sack open and out spills a bunch of slime and then a little baby.
Well, it's less gross than what really goes on.
I'm aware of that, but I'd probably prefer a book to this sort of thing to give a kid to let them understand some of that process. Maybe a book written for a child. Here's the competing thoughts, though. I did really like the idea that at a young age you would inform someone that a pregnant woman has a baby inside of her and not something else. I kind of liked that. And the realization through this process of playing with this odd toy that I can't imagine a lot of kids are asking for. They're like, I want the pregnant doll. But anyway, that it would actually reaffirm something that I do definitely believe, that pregnant women, in fact, hold a baby and that baby's life is important. So it was like a push-pull. Would I buy this for someone? No. Would I hate to see someone playing with it? Also, no.
I'll tell you what it reminded me immediately of is a very famous antique 17th century Germanic ivory anatomical figure that was recovered.
I don't mean to laugh, Ethan. That's the most Ethan Hatcher answer to this topic I've ever heard in my life. Continue, please.
But it's an amazingly detailed piece. This woman carved from ivory, a visage of a pregnant woman, and you can take off her belly and her chest and reveal the internal organs, some of which are removable, like the lungs or the womb. And again, in service of education, which I don't think is a bad thing. So I don't think that they're making this overly gross or creepy. It's just it's a fact of life.
Yeah, sure. Did you watch the video of the thing being ripped open and popped out?
No, but it's
okay.
It can't be grosser than the pimple popping videos that everybody likes to watch online.
It is not grosser than those. It's just, again, weird for me to envision a kid playing with this. All right, one last thing before we take a break. I know we're up against it. Jimothy the raccoon is going viral all over the internet. He's going viral because he's got an odd spine that creates more of like a Hunchback of Notre Dame hump to him, which I thought was really interesting. But I was just thinking that if someone finds a way to monetize this, Jimothy would easily be worth more money than you and I combined. I don't know how that makes you feel, Ethan.
He's the next Peanut the squirrel.
He is, for sure. If only he could ski. All right, quick break, a lot more. We have you covered. 93 WIBC. I'm Craig Collins. He's Ethan Hatcher. News next.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They were announced today. You've got 82 degrees and mostly cloudy skies in downtown Indy. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 10:30. Memorial services were planned for Senator Lindsey Graham next week.
South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham will be honored at the Capitol Rotunda next Tuesday. His remains will be carried into the Capitol by the Armed Forces Body Bearer team ahead of a short service recognizing Graham's decades in the U.S. House and Senate. Graham's remains will then be transported to the Washington National Cathedral for a funeral service. President Trump is among those expected to offer a tribute. A funeral service in Columbia, South Carolina is scheduled for the following day. Graham died suddenly earlier this month. He was 71 years old.
Fox's Jared Halpern reporting. Lebanon's leader will meet with President Trump at the White House today. They're expected to talk about the ongoing threat from Iran-backed Hezbollah, and Lebanon President Joseph Aoun is expected to press Trump on Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon. And a longtime theater in Culver, Indiana is one step closer to reopening. Crews recently demolished the old Culver Theater to begin the first phase of its restoration. The Maxinkuckee Performing Arts Theater Foundation is now working on early design plans, with board members gathering ideas from the community to help shape the project. I'm Jake McDaniel, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
In the military, the mission was clear. You knew what to do. Now, the mission has changed. Stepping into civilian life isn't about finding a job. It's finding your purpose.
I wanted a career that would leverage the skills and discipline I gained in the military. IT just felt right.
My Computer Career offers class schedules that fit into your life and skills in high demand. Put your VA benefits to work. Visit mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to jumpstart your IT career today. An elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
At My Eye Doctor, we're here to help you see your best and find your style. Whether you need new contacts, an updated prescription, or designer frames, your local My Eye Doctor team will help you find the right fit. And because your vision can change over time, annual eye exams are an important part of protecting your long-term eye health. We welcome all insurance plans, and for a limited time, get a complete pair of glasses starting at just $95. Visit myeyedr.com to schedule your eye exam today.
Lose weight. Alex Goen patented hypnosis, the only weight loss method in America proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office because it reprograms your subconscious. Engineered to kill cravings, emotional eating, late-night fridge attacks. Only $59.99 or your money back. Weight loss seminar Sunday, July 26th. Hilton Garden Inn Airport, 11 a.m. Stop smoking, 2 p.m. Or Monday, July 27th. Holiday Inn Express, Noblesville, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking, 8 p.m. Sign up at AlexGoen.com. Goen. That's AlexGoen.com.
What will your neighborhood feel like when you're older? Will you be able to get to the store? Will you find a bench when you need to rest? And will you still feel welcome in the spaces you've always loved? This is Tina McIntosh, founder of Joy's House and co-host of Caregiver Crossing. Aging well depends not only on what happens at home, but also in the communities that surround us. Stay tuned.
Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Visit cardon.us to find a community near you.
Safe sidewalks, reliable transportation, accessible services are what allow older adults to stay active and connected. And without these, even simple errands can become overwhelming. Families and experts talk to emphasize that connection to community is what keeps people thriving, whether through public parks, libraries, neighbors lending a hand. And on Caregiver Crossing, we explore how to create places where older adults can belong and age with dignity. You can hear these conversations every Sunday morning on WIBC or visit joyshouse.org anytime. New weekly content is created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana.
Pierce Jewelers is the best family-owned jewelry store in Carmel. All jewelry and watch repair, appraisals, and custom design are done in-house. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Save hundreds of dollars with free delivery plus low price guarantees on quality brand name furniture and mattresses.
Only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins. He's Ethan Hatcher. We are filling in today on your 9 to noon show. Thrilled to be here. Lots and lots of stuff to talk about, Ethan. I do think it's interesting that Braun has raised $1.1 million. I feel like I should do that Dr. Evil style, but I won't. $1.1 million for the 2028 re-election campaign. And a lot of the money is going to be directed to political operations that are targeting ousting Republicans who turned down redistricting in Indiana and defied President Trump. I know that you probably have a decent amount of thoughts about this. I was in favor of redistricting. I live in Texas where it happened, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's fighting fire with fire, and I think it's been happening for a long time on both sides, even if it's very few seats that Indiana could really turn around. But nonetheless, I think it's interesting now that the exact thing that people probably assumed was going to happen is going to happen. There's going to be a significant fight and a whole bunch of money poured into Indiana in 2028 to try to do the thing all over again. How do you react to this story?
There's a lot of components that you talked about. I was against redistricting. I actually testified against redistricting at the State House. I think Indiana's maps in particular could be used as a model for the nation in how fair they have been divvied up and how representative they are of the political map, I think, of the overall state of Indiana, and one that still handily delivers a solid Republican supermajority here in the Midwest. Midwest, I had no complaints with the makeup. As far as the candidates who lost their primary election bids, I think it's debatable how much of that is directly tied to the Trump administration's displeasure over the results of the redistricting argument versus the overall dissatisfaction of Hoosiers with establishment elected representatives that promised to deliver on property tax reform, but then snubbed their nose and thumbed their nose at the electorate in the form of SB 1 and actually ended up raising taxes on top of proposing to tax through the form of a toll every single mile of highway here in the state of Indiana. I think that there is broad dissatisfaction with the promises that Governor Braun made compared to what he has delivered post-election. And I think he's going to be a one-term governor.
I do think that he's going to be a one-term governor. I agree with you on that. I'm not sure that I agree with you saying that one of the issues that won't be a huge focal point for the party itself or the way in which this money is used is to try to change the philosophy on redistricting and get it done. I imagine many people who run will actually openly admit that to curry favor from President Trump, even though in 2028 he'd also be on his way out, because I think that we'll continue to revisit this discussion. Democrats reacted to what happened in Texas by trying to do their own thing in places like California. This is the beginning, not the end of this fight. And I do think that states like Indiana, states like Texas, where I live, I need to demonstrate the vast majority opinion of the state as a whole. When you look at Illinois and how crazy they draw their maps in order to get a disproportionate representation of Democrats out of that state, the only way to fight that fire is with fire. And Indiana has a unique capability to potentially do that. Do I actually agree with you when I think that right now the maps in Indiana are uniquely good? Yes, I agree with you. But I do think that inevitably this will be one of the biggest and largest fights politically by the two parties, for the next set of years up until they can actually redistrict more easily at the end of a decade. And nonetheless, even when they do that, fighting that good fight to make sure that people aren't disproportionately given seats based on illegal immigration and people who live there that don't actually have the right to be there being counted in a census. But I'm fascinated that this is the road inevitably that will go, because I do think the politicians who stood up against that knew that they'd probably be targeted because of it.
I think in certain circumstances, if you want to have the redistricting conversation in other states, certainly leftist states like Illinois or California, or ways to fix or counterbalance that, I'm open to the conversation. But when you yourself identified that the maps in Indiana are uniquely good, I think it's fallacy to suggest that we need to overwrite that with a rigged mapping system instead, as if that would somehow better deliver for Hoosiers when we already have a solid Republican supermajority. Let's not screw with what's already working.
Hold on, Ethan. You said try to redistrict in Illinois. You know they're not going to do that, right? Like you just said California. Like that's ludicrous to propose that we could gain more Republican seats in places so ridiculously controlled by the left. They're not going to hand more Republicans potential wins. And
I use those states as obvious examples of gerrymandering.
Well, I know, but you actually said
conversation.
I know, but I wanted to state that you said that as a reason to not change Indiana because of its fairness.
Indiana is fine.
But the other places are cheating. And so if they're cheating, the only way is to cheat back. This is what I'm saying. And I do believe that the vast majority of Indiana is actually conservative, just like the vast majority of Texas is. And so if I send all my representatives and they all happen to be of the same party, I think that even though that might not represent Indianapolis or, say, Houston as well as it does, it represents the ideals of the state in a way that is certainly a reflection of what they're doing in Illinois and California. And they're not changing anything. They're trying to dive further into that rabbit hole, too. So it's a fight that should be had, because being the better people, this is always the problem of Republicans, in my opinion, and I have been one my entire life. Being the good guys hurts us. Doing things the right way, doing things a way that doesn't respond to the moves of the other side, inevitably loses you races and loses you power that you probably should be fighting harder to gain.
Doing things the right way at the end of the day is its own reward. And I think we should support Republicans because the contrast they offer to the dishonesty of Democrats. That's why I want to support Republicans. And I just fundamentally disagree with a political philosophy that demands you participate in the same level of cheating that our adversaries embrace. Just don't agree.
I think that that's a bit of a generalization of what I'm saying, because I'm really just doing it about redistricting.
You literally said that we should cheat.
No, within the world of redistricting, we should fight fire with fire. I am not saying that we should cheat. I don't think we should. That's not fair to categorize it like that, because I wasn't being generalized about my point. I was being specific to the conversation we're having about redistricting.
Well, I wouldn't have used that word if you hadn't used that word. I'm using the word that you used.
I know, but we're having a conversation about a specific topic. So pretending as though I'm now suddenly being general is silly. That's a silly way to go about and argue, in my opinion, respectfully. But anyway, I do think that if you don't do this, inevitably, Democrats will send more representatives, more easily win the House, and that would be bad for the country. And I think you and I do agree on that if Democrats have a stranglehold over the House, over the Senate, and over the presidency, if that were to happen in the near future, that would be bad.
It would be bad, but to pretend that the political pendulum doesn't swing the other way sometimes, I think is just completely misguided. We got to weather through those storms, and we do that by ensuring the government has fundamentally as diversified and as little as controlled or concentrated power as possible.
Right, but we also have to acknowledge the situation we're in and the scenario in which we exist, and fight the things that are going on that are unfair to our side. Mm-hmm. Like idealism is great. I'd love to be an idealist across the board. There are times in which it's not the reality of the world in which we live. And so when you have to accept the scenarios that are presented to you, you sometimes have to find a way to fight back, is what I'm saying. And I think at times, at least within the years in which I have been a supporter of a certain party, I think they fail to fight back better. And I would love to see them fight back. I'd love to see a world in which there was enough power organized in, say, Washington, D.C., in which you could force everyone to have a fair map. I would love that. But only one side of the aisle would ever do that. And so to get there, sometimes you have to find a way to, work within the constraints of, man, these people are doing this thing. I would like to actually win, not just give up on a rival. Another topic that I can transition to that I do think is interesting and might somehow be married to this conversation is what's going on in the Lincoln Party, and a race that I think is uniquely interesting, the Indiana Secretary of State race. You have a deeply flawed, plague-scandaled Republican in Diego Morales running against someone who's got a lot of political cachet because of a name, and I don't think really a lot of success in that world in Bo Bai. And then you have a new contender, a former mayor, Greg Ballard. I think a lot of people would describe him as much more woke and rhino-y than you'd want him to be. But nonetheless, I think the potential success of the Lincoln Party, and I doubt that he wins this election. He has made it onto the ballot. But the idea of him getting enough support to allow the Lincoln Party to then run in more races in 2028 is interesting. And the macro topic I kind of want to discuss with you is if it's time. If a third party, not just within, say, Indiana, but within the country, could really garner the type of support. I know Elon Musk has talked about a version of his own that he'd pour tons of money into. But nonetheless, is it time to find an avenue to have a conversation that demonstrates all the areas in which people agree? Because there's a lot of areas in which the vast majority of Americans tend to agree.
I think it would be fascinating if a third party was able to position itself in a way to capture a meaningful percentage of seats across the country. But even if that doesn't come to pass, I am perfectly fine with the third party acting as a referendum and protest vote to keep up accountability on the main two parties. And I think the Lincoln Party definitely presents a potential opportunity for that to happen here in the state of Indiana. I do agree it is fairly unlikely that Greg Ballard will ultimately win the Secretary of State's race, which is why I say victory for him is not a victory of the election. It is crossing that 10% threshold so that way he can get primary access for this new third party here in the state of Indiana. I think that would be fascinating.
I do think whether it's the Lincoln Party or some other amalgamation of it that takes hold beyond just Indiana and gets the financial backing of someone like an Elon Musk, that there might be an avenue toward having this conversation. And the funniest thing about this idea is how often I talk to people that identify themselves as on the left or far on the left. And if they're willing to talk to you, which usually you have to pretend you're not a conservative for a bit before letting them know that you are, you can find a ton of places of simple agreement, of what a lot of people call just common sense policies and beliefs. It's one of the big reasons that Spencer Pratt did so well in California until inevitably some seemingly weird things happened and he lost that race during mail-in balloting counting. But nonetheless, I just think it's so fascinating that there's an opportunity for that. And even President Trump himself when some debated if he would win a primary race, had made comments about how he'd run in a third party if so necessary. And I know that wouldn't actually be a thing that would happen, but I just find it to be the right time for this. And I think it would wake up the sides. The more important aspect of this conversation, and it's something you pointed to a second ago, is the way in which your own side is likely failing you. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're probably looking at your representatives that you've sent to Washington and said they're not doing enough for me. They're doing a whole lot more for them, and demonstrating that a third party could potentially have success and not be sort of a joke addition to a ballot would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's real easy for us to look around the world we have today and conclude something is drastically wrong. It needs to be fixed, and probably the people that we've been putting in power for the last 20 or 30 years have a big thing to do with that.
Yes, they do. One last piece of audio that I do want to play before we take a break. This is Darlene Graham saying that she will actually run for the Senate seat that Lindsey Graham has left to her after Lindsey Graham suddenly passed away. I think this is great. I know Trump has been calling for her to do this. I know other candidates are going to get into the race. I know Nancy Mace is not going to be one of those candidates running. But to act as though Darlene doesn't have chops in the world of philanthropy, in the world of working with the blind and the disabled, she has been a very successful person for a very long time and has been praised by a lot of people that she worked with as a true leader, a true valuable asset to all the teams she's been on. And so will she win? I don't know. Will she even be good as a senator? I think that'll be up for debate over the next few months as she holds a position that she's been given because of her late brother. But is there a chance that things go great? Absolutely. So a little bit of audio here before we take a break, and then we'll go ahead and take a break.
The president again saying, I hope Darlene does this. Meaning I hope you will get, and here's the filing deadline for people that don't know, and these are just the laws of South Carolina. The filing begins tomorrow.
It does.
I think you have a week.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And by that time, the funerals won't even have taken place.
I know.
Which is actually really surreal to think that they won't even have had a funeral, but here she
Inner
goes.
peace about it. Will it be difficult? Yes, absolutely.
So you're inclined to get in, or have you even made a final decision?
I've made a decision.
You're in.
I'm in.
I love this. I think it's great. And if you know the story of Lindsey and his sister, even more so from an emotional component. Quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins, Ethan Hatcher filling in, 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, is Lindsey Graham's sister about to be a problem? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You know, you can't always see what's in your air ducts, but you're certainly breathing it. Summer means the air conditioner is working overtime, and clean air ducts can help your home feel fresher while removing dust and debris that's been collecting for months. This month, get air duct cleaning for just $599 per unit from my friends at ZeroRez. Call 317-388-5141, visit ZeroRezIndy.com, and you be sure and ask for the WIBC special. It's ZeroRezIndy.com.
Join the Hammer and Nigel Show live on site at the Johnson County Fair Thursday, July 23rd from 3 to 6 p.m. The broadcast will be at the Farm Bureau building. We're also planning to do the milkshake chugging contest again as well.
On Monday night, they have a free concert behind the Farm Bureau building. And each day, they have cooking demonstrations, agricultural events in the building, the Young Farmer Group hosting a pet parade. Everyone can follow the Facebook page, Johnson County Farm Bureau, Incorporated of Indiana.
The Honda Summer Event will have you doing a double take at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Look at these deals. Lease a 2026 Accord LX or a 2027 HRV all-wheel drive, each for only $2,500 down and just $250 a month for 36 months at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Tax not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. Not combinable with other offers. 10,000 miles per year. $2,500 due at signing. Does not include first month's payment, documentation fee, or acquisition fee. All applicable fees due at signing. Offer ends 8/31/26. See dealer for complete details.
At My Eye Doctor, we're here to help you see your best and find your style. Whether you need new contacts, an updated prescription, or designer frames, your local My Eye Doctor team will help you find the right fit. And because your vision can change over time, annual eye exams are an important part of protecting your long-term eye health. We welcome all insurance plans, and for a limited time, get a complete pair of glasses starting at just $95. Visit myeyedr.com to schedule your eye exam today.
At Duke Energy, we're making Indiana's energy grid stronger and more resilient, ready for storms and growing energy demands. We're adding more power to the Indiana grid. We're using new innovations and smart technology to restore outages faster. And we're doing it all in cost-efficient ways to keep bills as low as possible while we serve you with reliable energy. Duke Energy, building a smarter energy future. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Dust off your flip-flops and find that lost shaker of salt. Jimmy Buffett's Coral Reefer Band is bringing the ultimate summer party to the Everwise Amphitheater on Thursday, July 30th. Grab your tickets now at WIBC.com.
93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins. He's Ethan Hatcher. We are your hosts today on the 9 to Noon show. Lightning quick segment to do here, but I really enjoyed our conversation, and actually apparently so did the YouTube chat. We're getting a lot of praise, Ethan, for the things that we both agree on and disagree on. I think we're going to agree on this, though. A guy was arrested for naked surfing on a train. This was in Denver. Obviously, this is the kind of thing that you shouldn't do if you're, the kids at home, for the way that the TV shows used to say it. But Daniel Ray Balance is the guy's name in Arizona. He broke a window while he was on a Union Pacific Railroad locomotive, entered it, got on top of it, stripped naked, which is always the thing I least understand that the crazy people do, and then surfed it. Anything you want to say in response to this, or no? You're just going to sit there in stunned silence.
I thought you were getting ready to play some audio of the story. No,
no.
I think that's a hysterical tale, and I'm just imagining, all the bits and bobs flopping around in the wind when you're standing up there, going at 100 miles per hour in a train.
Yeah, it can't look great. I got to be honest about that. It can't be a good look for anybody.
No.
Thank God that he was arrested, and hopefully this crazy naked man does not get to do a crazy naked thing again. All right, we'll take a break. More coming up in a bit. Craig Collins, Ethan Hatcher, 93 WIBC, your 9 to Noon show.
Greetings from our agency, your Indiana Health Insurance Pros. We get calls on a daily basis from those who are unhappy with their ACA. It's still the Obamacare program. You were told the ACA was their only choice, and once enrolled, you were stuck for a year. Both statements are untrue. If you are reasonably healthy, make a living wage, it's your worst choice. We recently saved a couple retiring early over $500 per month and reduced their deductible by $7,500. We recently saved a small contractor over $1,000 per month on coverage for 3 employees. If you're self-employed, retiring early, or just have to pay for your own coverage, give us a call at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. We can help. What do you got to lose? Call 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. We're a plan designed by you, not the federal government. No annual renewals, coverage until 65. Always God bless America, peace through strength, and common sense government.
Mark Dietel, the only real estate expert I would trust here in Indianapolis to sell my home, the only real estate expert I would trust to find me a new home. Kathy in Indianapolis rapidly forcing a foreclosure on her home, and she was desperate. All those low-ball instant offers were below what Kathy owed. She heard about Mark's guaranteed offer on the radio and called. Mark's team took it to market quickly. 4 days they had an offer at $10,000 above asking price, way above all those instant offers.
Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert that we trust and recommend with the sale of our homes. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. No long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. 317-755-4232 or visit markdietel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com.
Mike Rowe here with a random fact. More than half of the homes that have basements in North America will experience water damage. It's true. Whether it's basement moisture, flooding, or bowing walls, do yourself a favor, call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Indiana Foundation Service is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Upgrade your home with Drexel Select, Indianapolis-made cabinets in your choice of colors and free design help. Delivered in as little as 10 days. Learn more at drexelin.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Price Point Comfort Mitsubishi Electric Studios, you'll hear what investigators know about a crash in Indianapolis, what the city of Greenwood approved, and you'll also hear what a Brownsburg daycare investigation has led to. Those stories are coming up next in just a couple minutes, right after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1, Indianapolis. It's now 11 o'clock.
It's the other conflict complicating the U.S.-Iran fight. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Israel's battle against Hezbollah in Lebanon. In this hour, that country's president, Joseph Aoun, goes to the White House to meet with President Trump, who's hoping the deployment of Lebanon's army to secure villages could stop that fighting.
And they'll be talking about disarming Hezbollah, as well as the Israeli military now withdrawing from certain sectors of southern Lebanon as part of this U.S. negotiated treaty.
Fox's Aisha Hasni also reports Iran retaliated again after a 10th straight night of American bombing.
This morning, there were strikes into Bahrain. Sirens were going off inside of that country as Iran began firing at U.S. targets there. Iran also lodging missiles and drones at Jordan and Kuwait's power and water plants overnight. There's also a maritime report out this morning that a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz was hit by an unknown projectile off the coast of Oman. A crew had to abandon the vessel, getting into a lifeboat for safety.
Oil prices keep rising back up more than 2%. Gas is up another penny. AAA's national average for regular $4.01 a gallon today is 16 cents higher than a week ago. 15 weeks before the November elections decide control of Congress. Fox News power rankings give Democrats a slight lead in House races. The Senate's even with 4 states considered toss-ups.
Almost half of voters say cost of living is the most important factor for them in the upcoming midterms, with health care and housing topping the list. President Trump made affordability a key promise in his 2024 re-election bid, and a majority of voters now disapprove of his handling of the economy, giving Democrats an edge. Voters prefer Democrats to Republicans by about 4 points on the generic ballot.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. It's primary
primary day in Arizona, filing day in South Carolina for Republicans who want to run in the primary to replace late Senator Lindsey Graham as a GOP nominee in November. His sister Darlene, now in the Senate to finish the term, plans to run. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A crash sends one to a hospital. It's 82 and partly cloudy in the Circle City. The sun is now out. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 11:02. A crash on Indy's west side last night injured a teenager. First responders got to North Country Club Road near Rockville Road around 9:30. That's where they say a driver left the road and hit a tree. 3 teenagers were in the car and one was taken to a hospital in bad shape, say police. The Greenwood Common Council approved a plan to increase the wheel tax and vehicle excise surtax. City leaders say the additional revenue will help pay for road repairs.
We've been put in a situation where we have to pass a wheel tax in order to qualify for these crossing grants.
Council President Mike Campbell says state rules limited the city's options, and he also says the governor made it clear cities need skin in the game to receive state road funding. Greenwood residents already pay a $25 county wheel tax, and the new plan adds another $25 city tax or $40 for larger vehicles. A former Main Street University for Kids employee in Brownsburg has been sentenced for failing to report child abuse. Here's Ryan Hedrick.
Jennifer Lingbeck, sentenced to nearly 6 months in prison, then a year on home detention and probation. She admitted that she didn't report concerns about another employee, Gabriel Garner, who's now facing dozens of charges tied to the sexual exploitation of children at the daycare. Lingbeck told the court that she was manipulated by its former owner, Nancy Mitten, who also pleaded guilty and is having her own sentence. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
You're paying an average of $3.34 a gallon of gas in Indiana today, says AAA. The national average is at $4.01. And after a rain delay Sunday, the NTT IndyCar Series tackles the Nashville Super Speedway in Tennessee on Monday. Alex Palou took the checkered flag in the Music City Grand Prix, and that's his 5th win of the season in a tight championship race.
Very close this year. They're not making it easy. I know it's going to be a tough fight till the end, especially being so back-to-back races. But yeah, we're ready for it.
And drivers have a couple of weeks off as they head to Portland on August 9th. And I'm Jake McDaniel, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins coming up in 1 minute. It's 11:04.
You do not need to live with joint pain. What you need to do is talk to the experts at the Good Feet store. At the Good Feet store, they know that foot pain impedes everyday life, and it is foot pain that can lead to the joint pain. Because when your foot is not properly supported and all those arches properly supported, well, it changes how you walk. And therefore, your knees, your hips, your lower back, they can all be out of alignment because you do not have proper arch support. But at the Good Feet store, the premier arch support specialists, they can enhance your quality of life, getting you that proper support in your foot that allows your body to align and allows you to be without pain. Get your free, no obligation, personalized fitting. Just walk into any one of the 3 area Good Feet locations and talk to them. Get your free fitting and test walk, no appointment needed. The Good Feet store, 3 Indy area locations to take care of you. At Clearwater at the Crossing, in Greenwood just off of 65, and now in Avon on Rockville Road in front of Walmart. Online at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com.
Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful Tuesday to be listening to the radio, and thank you for keeping those dials locked to 93 WIBC. This is the first official duo of Craig Collins and Ethan Hatcher on the radio. I think we've had a good time so far. Lots of excellent response from the YouTube audience, and we appreciate your kind words in the comments. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hop on that YouTube machine. Give us a like, give us a follow, share the feed. All of those things help promote the station. This segment wanted to talk about Democrats campaigning against law and order, against ICE enforcement in particular. This is a candidate for U.S. Senate coming out of Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed, who says that ICE cannot be reformed. It must be eliminated.
ICE has nothing to do with immigration.
ICE has nothing to do with the southern border. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. ICE is about weaponizing the idea of immigration against the Constitution itself. ICE cannot be reformed. ICE cannot be retrained. ICE has to be abolished. You're not getting another dime of our money. Not one more dime.
All right, but you got to get over it.
ICE is enshrining and ensuring the continued integrity of our nation. What is he talking about? It has nothing to do with immigration. It has everything to do with immigration. These people are nuts. They're sick, but they are seeking to exploit the system for their own benefit. And I think we see through this at this point, Craig.
Oh, we definitely see through this. And I thought he left one out, so I wanted to add one. ICE is about enforcing the law. That's the one thing that he forgot to say for some reason, because it's that simplistic.
Yeah.
ICE is doing a job that at times Democrats have actually desired them to do, which is the funniest part of this discussion.
And I think it's important to emphasize that immigration enforcement is not only important to the integrity of America, it's important to the integrity of every single country that wants to continue existing and wants to continue providing services for its people. I'm not sure many people have seen the unrest and turmoil in South Africa right now, where of all things, they are protesting against illegal immigrants from Central Africa. That's right. Africans protesting against illegal African migration. This is the report from South Africa.
A warrior formation for a war on foreigners, marching across South Africa's cities to warn African immigrants here that it's time to leave.
The leaders of this march are saying that it's peaceful, but it doesn't feel peaceful. They're brandishing weapons. They're in the heart of Johannesburg's central business district, making it clear to everyone here that they do not welcome African foreign nationals.
As the city's residents navigate through hundreds of protesters, they're targeted and attacked.
He just tasered him. Feels like a witch hunt. They keep pointing out people that they think may be foreign and then attacking them. We just saw a man get tasered on the side of this street.
Even the lighter moments of this march are channeled at telling foreigners to get out. So what is fueling this aggression?
I'm unemployed. There's no employment. I can't find anything. Now we are focusing on the illegal foreign nationals. Yes, which are black Africans. That's why we are focusing on illegal foreign. Let me tell you, we go to a hospital, they are illegal foreigner occupying a hospital. You go to school, they are illegal foreigner.
Ironic. I think in particular, the excerpts from that conversation that they played at the end of the clip, where he's literally making the same complaints that you hear Republicans say here in the United States. They're taking advantage of the health care, the resources. They're eating away taxpayer-funded resources in the country. They're taking our jobs. Where have we heard that one before?
Oh, they took our jobs.
That's what I was thinking about.
They took your job.
Literally, right?
South Park for the win. I would say this, and I just think it's interesting. As you're hearing some things in that conversation, I'm also hearing echoes of the birthright citizenship discussion, because when you take a world view on some of these topics, you see how the rest of the world behaves, and it's quite a bit different than us. In Europe, for example, none of those countries have a birthright citizenship process in order to become a citizen of any of the powers that we care so much about, that mostly are our friends across the pond. So it's amazing to think that in any of these places where you revisit the topics of the United States of America, you're hearing such a profoundly similar argument to something that Republicans are making, and something that allows a lot of these countries to maintain many of the things that they brag about doing that they claim they do better than us.
Yes, I was just about to make exactly that point about these robust social safety nets that especially you hear liberals say they want society to have. The only way that you can maintain those services is if the people you grant them to are extremely selective. You just open this up to anybody who wants to take advantage of the program. Of course, you're never going to be able to provide that for everybody. It's going to put a strain on the system, and it's going to collapse under its own weight. This isn't hard to figure out.
It's not. It's not hard to figure out. And it's funny how often you have a conversation with someone who pretends as though what's happening here is the only version of a discussion. And then they seem to actually also care about whatever injustice they've identified somewhere else when they fail to really understand the dynamics of those stories, but they also completely misunderstand all the ways in which their views would be rejected if they went somewhere else. It's incredible to watch the sort of back and forth of how they evaluate certain situations in these discussions. But once again, I'm not remotely surprised at what's going on in South Africa or anywhere. I'm not sure that I'd like for social services to be robust. I'm not trying to pick on you for a word you chose there. It's just a thought that I have in my brain. But nonetheless, I do think that any version of anything that's helpful in society can only be valuable and not harmful to us if it's done with incredible restraint.
Yeah. When I was making reference of those robust social services, I was primarily thinking of the European nations that have seen large influxes of migrant populations, and then the fallout and the pressure that it's put on those systems that they've instituted. But you're right. I mean, I totally agree. We should not be striving for that here in the country that is a vestige of the nanny state.
Amen.
But it's also important to draw a contrast between countries that are experiencing problems due to the migrant influx, like European countries, the Netherlands, Germany, South Africa, as we just heard, with countries that are doing it the right way, and their policy decisions are paying dividends for the country. Right now, I'm thinking of Poland, as was brought forth in this Rob Finnerty interview from Newsmax.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you're asking me about Muslims' illegal immigration, none, not even one, will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we have not even one terrorist attack.
Isn't that unbelievable? So 0, none, no Muslims. Poland has taken in millions of Ukrainian refugees, but no Muslims, unlike almost every other country in Europe. The Polish borders are closed and will remain closed. You can visit, sure, you can travel to Poland, which is a beautiful country, but if you try to go there illegally and live there, they will throw you out, no questions asked, and the results have been astonishing. 0 terrorist attacks, the safest country in Europe, the lowest murder rate. It's clean. They have the lowest unemployment in Europe, and the economy in Poland post-COVID, based on GDP, has been one of the best in Europe over the last 5 years, even with a war raging in neighboring Ukraine.
Wow, that is delicious. Finally.
And what have we seen from these policy decisions in places like Germany, where they've let the migrants roll in? They got to put up bollards and barricades around their Christmas markets because every year now you got some crazed lunatic, usually a foreign invader, who is rolling through the market and killing the citizens of the country. You don't have that problem in Poland. They're not having to barricade the Christmas markets in Poland like they do in Germany. How can you not see a difference between these policy choices and then draw a comparison?
Well, and what's really interesting to me is anybody that thinks that any version of handout is compassionate all the time misunderstands people who come here angry. When you come to our country and you're already angry and you don't think that whatever opportunities you imagined will be available to you here materialize, then you get angrier and you get angry at us. When your real rage is probably better placed at the place you came from and the problems you had there, and that anger, it materializes, it metastasizes, it becomes this thing that eventually makes these people take horrible action. I just think it's incredible to remember that during the height of Biden's open border policy, black people in the south side of Chicago were yelling at their black mayor saying that their community was not being treated fairly. And these are all people that are widely believed to be Democratic voters and a Democratic mayor, and they're so upset that they think that they have been jumped on the totem pole of what people are getting help from government money and how their community is falling further behind. It was something incredible to watch, the rage and anger that I think allowed for a topic to become something on a national stage that most people said we cared about. We want the border closed because it's harming our society as a whole.
We've changed as a country what immigration means. It used to be when you had immigrants who were coming to this country from, places like Ireland, from places like Poland, from other places in Europe, and they were migrating because of the opportunities that this country offered. They came to this country because of what they could go out and get for themselves, with the opportunities that they had versus what they could go out and be given. And I think that is the core distinction between immigration of the past versus immigration of the present, which is also something that Milton Friedman had discussed at length.
Well, and to be honest, if I'm going to be unfair and take a shot, and I'm a millennial, so I think I can shoot down a little bit, it feels like also a problem with Gen Z in general. There are a lot of people walking around out there who are also waiting for their handout that seem to be doing it in a way that will never benefit them and will never benefit us.
Yes, I agree entirely. Thanks for listening to 93 at WIB.
Look at that. We agree on stuff sometimes, Ethan. Sorry, continue.
We got the disagreement. We got the agreement.
We got it all.
We got it all. And thanks for sticking with us here on 93 WIBC. Up next, we're going to talk about some Democrats who are starting to read the writing on the wall. Bill Maher says that his vote could be in play for the presidential election. We'll play you those sound bites and more coming up next. Stay tuned.
No matter where you head on your commute, Matt Bear is there. Paris.
Les Champs-Élysées sont un véritable parking ce matin.
Warsaw.
W drodze do pracy, wyjdź trochę wcześniej.
Or Brazil.
Temos bisbilhotice no Rio de Janeiro. Não haja como turista.
Matt, these are all cities in Indiana.
Oh, that makes my job easier.
Making your commute easier. Matt Bear Traffic. Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
I'm at Decatur Township Station 73 in Canby, Indiana. I'm a firefighter engineer. I drive all emergency equipment to the scenes. So my father-in-law, his health was declining. We needed to move him to put in assisted living, and we needed to get the home out of his name. It definitely affects your job, thinking about things at home, trying to get things settled. I would catch myself here at the firehouse thinking about, I need to hurry up and get this done with the home. I need to close on it. I really didn't want to hassle with putting it on the market, listing it. I just Googled and found Simple Quarters, and I reached out to Megan, and the process could not have been smoother. She met with me, I think it was the next day. We did a walkthrough of the house. It just took an hour to do the walkthrough of the property. Megan was straightforward from start to the finish. She told me what they could offer. There was no pressure involved whatsoever. The pricing I got for the house was very fair. I would recommend Simple Quarters. The process was very, very simple.
Call Simple Quarters 317-687-HOME, 317-687-HOME.
Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify.
How's your HVAC system doing? Ask about the Armor Air buyback plan and get up to $1,895 toward a brand new system. Visit armorair.com for details.
Amy Cox did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. And with that money, she decided to treat herself to an anti-aging red light mask. Will she look like a horror movie villain every night? Yes. Will her boyfriend Kevin be scarred for life? That's certainly a risk. But it's Amy's savings, and if she's willing to risk her relationship for smooth, wrinkle-free skin, well, bye-bye, Kevin. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Upgrade your flooring with Drexel Interiors. Shop pet-friendly carpet and luxury vinyl plank on sale now. Plus, get 12 months interest-free financing. Visit their Indianapolis or Carmel showrooms or drexelin.com.
My grades were bad. I would get D's and C's.
I appeared to be doing good at my school life, but if you would see me at home, it would have been a completely different story.
I mean, it was just rough focusing on school when your mother is somebody you have to take care of.
It got worse and worse and worse throughout the years.
There are students who need somebody.
They can trust someone, and it could be the first person they've ever trusted in their life.
Communities in Schools is lowering America's dropout rate by helping more than 1.3 million kids every year get whatever they need to succeed in school.
If something was going on at home, we would go just stop by Miss Liberty's office and talk to her.
Communities in Schools vouched for me when everyone else had lost hope.
You can help change the picture of education right here in your community and across the nation. Visit communitiesInschools.org.
I hear people say we can't save every kid, but I think that we can.
This hour powered by Pierce Jewelers, designers of fine custom jewelry in Carmel.
Thanks for spending the morning here on WIBC with Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins. Of course, another phenomenal bump music selection from the hardworking producer, Kev. That's Kevin McNamara on the board, beep, 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 pushing the buttons and doing the things to make the show function. This segment, of course, we're discussing Democrats who are now willing to say what has been obvious to Republicans for quite some time, that many of their compatriots, they're no longer just socialists, they're outright communists. And I love the willingness of like Senator John Fetterman, seems like post-stroke he actually is John Betterman, because he is willing to say the things to the Democrat Party that they don't want to hear. In this case, identifying many of them as communists.
So for me, what you're afraid of is defined by what you won't criticize or won't call out. And I'm always going to call out people that they're not Democrats. In fact, some of them aren't even socialists. They've actually self-identified as communists. I'm not sure why there's more outrage within the party, and they will refuse to acknowledge or say, well, I haven't been paying attention to that race so much for all those. If your record is what you're running on is the stuff you deleted on Twitter. So, and that wasn't ancient stuff. This was recent, actually.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Do you think there's a point where maybe John Fetterman turns coat and crosses the aisle to join the Republican Party, Craig?
I think he said that he would. I think that in part of the other clip in that same interview that you played a portion of, he said that if they go further and further into the world of socialism and basically communism, that he absolutely would be done with that party, that's his white flag to raise. So 100%, I think that that's possible, and I don't think he's alone. I think a lot of people who feel not represented by the ridiculous conversations coming from that party are sometimes looking for a place to land. They're not sure where it is, and they've been told that Trump's an evil, terrible, horrible person. But the reality is that the party itself is more than one man.
And you see that sentiment echoed by others within the party, the red line in the sand that they're unwilling to cross. They're not going to live in a communist country. Many of them are older, and these are people who lived through the specter of socialism and the USSR. Sure. They saw the results of the Iron Curtain and the people who were desperate to leave those Soviet bloc countries, and they listened to the stories that they told of being forced to live in these group housing accommodations, having their freedoms stripped from them, being spied on by the auspices of the state and everything that goes with it. People like Bill Maher, who now, like John Fetterman, say communism is their line in the sand. They're unwilling to live in that America. And I agree.
So I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing.
You have people like Zohran the Moron Mamdani who are openly embracing communism and the tenets of communism in New York City, and it's already having a downward spiraling effect on the way they're running that city. I'm sure you saw Ken Griffith, multi-billionaire, fleeing the city of New York for Miami for greener pastures, specifically because of being targeted by Zohran Mamdani.
Sure, there's a lot
policy.
of stuff. Yes, there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with Bill Maher on, but here's what's different about him, and here's what I really loved about Charlie Kirk, for example. He's willing to have a conversation. Maher has J.D. Vance on his show. Maher has Democrats and Republicans on his show all the time, and some of his ideology, some of the changes in it, I think are because he's accepted some of those discussions in good faith. He doesn't think the other side is just performatively against him, and I think that's the thing most lost on Democrats, especially the ones who are begging for us to become a communist state, is not only do they have a failed understanding of history and how terrible of a decision that is again and again and again, but they're unwilling to even engage in a conversation with the ideas of the other side because they resoundingly believe they should reject them for some stupid emotional reason that has nothing to do with hearing a logical argument. So the thing I most praise Maher for, and he's bragged about it on his show, is that he invites everybody on, and Republicans, by and large, are the ones who say yes when they're sent the invitation.
Yes, that was exactly what I was going to mention. It's incredible how because he's on the left, he is definitely, a
100%.
Democrat and has been for years and years and years. But when he has Democrats with which he disagrees and invites on the show, they blackball him. They stonewall him. They refuse to engage in the conversation versus Republicans with whom he often disagrees, who take him up on the offer. And you're right. I think that has had a softening effect on his overall worldview, to the point where now he is on the record as saying he would entertain voting for J.D. Vance.
Could you see yourself voting for J.D. Vance?
Yes. If this is the Democratic side, yes.
10 years ago, could you imagine Bill Maher saying something like that? 20 years ago, could you imagine Bill Maher saying something like that? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. The other person that I think of a lot when I see some of the viral audio of Maher when he does say something common sense, I mean, he hates Trump. He's crazy in a lot of ways, but he says common sense things that I like, is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan on his show has said before that Barack Obama is the best president we've ever had. I categorically disagree with him on that statement pretty profoundly. But Joe Rogan is also cheered often by the right, by conservatives, by whatever you want to call people that the left hates so much, and they've attacked Rogan for this, for just having a conversation, inviting someone on. They claim that this person's being platformed and it's terrible. I don't know when we got to the point, truthfully, I don't understand, where any version of conversation was shouted down, but that is absolutely the beginning stages to what communism eventually is. They just want the government to be able to arrest you when they say the stuff that you don't like.
Where you're only allowed to toe the party line and anything else is a crime, literally a thought crime.
All right, you literally have to go to jail for that. But again, I wish we could get back to, and maybe a portion, I'm not trying to pat us on the back and give us an attaboy here at all, but maybe a portion of what this show today has done kind of well is demonstrate that people who disagree can in fact talk to each other, and at the end of the day, do not hate each other, which is a big component, I think, to the left's willingness to admit out loud that they refuse to talk to the other side, is that evil, terrible people exist over there and we can't even be seen around them.
I think Joe Rogan and people like him are performing a valuable service in our society, one that's, existed for quite a while now. I categorize him as like the Dick Cavett of the modern era. I'm sure you're familiar with the Dick Cavett show, right?
Sure, absolutely I am. And honestly, I also think J.D. Vance embodies some of this with his willingness to sit. I know that his philosophies will be resoundingly on a certain side, but I think that as he's been doing his book tour, he showed a willingness to sit down and have discussions, and in some places win over some of the people that most dislike him, even on The View, when I think it was Joy Behar who said, out of all the people on that side, you're the one I dislike the least.
And that's a compliment coming from Joy, for sure.
It was from her. Well, Vance took it that way for sure.
Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. This is the dynamic duo of Ethan Hatcher and Craig Collins on the radio. Coming up next is WIBC with the news.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
At George's Pharmacy and Medical Equipment, they deliver more than just equipment. They deliver independence. Trust the team that puts you in the driver's seat. George's Pharmacy and Medical Equipment. Hi, this is Al Unser Jr. Join me at George's Pharmacy and Medical Equipment on Thursday, July 23rd from 5 to 7 p.m. at 7434 Shadeland Station Way for autographs and an exclusive meet and greet. I look forward to seeing you there.
Visit George's Pharmacy and Medical Equipment today, where care meets performance.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the
millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-568-6533. 800-568-6533. 800-568-6533.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Let Pierce Jewelers in Carmel take your older jewelry and gemstones and repurpose them into something new and exciting for that special occasion. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
For 22 years, Exercise Inc. has helped Hoosiers build muscle, lose weight, and transform their health, creating lifelong habits. Only takes 20 minutes once a week. Visit exerciseinc.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He'll be honored not once, but twice. I'm Jake McDaniel. Here's what's trending at 11:30. You may have heard U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham died on July 11th. His sister, Senator Darlene Graham, announced today there will be ceremonies for Lindsey on July 28th and 29th in both Washington, D.C. and South Carolina. Senator Jim Banks says the U.S. mission in the Middle East is aimed at stopping Iran from building a nuclear weapon. He says the fighting has injured and killed American service members, but a strike on critical infrastructure hasn't happened yet.
That's when you fully bring them to their knees. But as far as war power resolutions in the Senate, we vote on these every week. These are attempts by the Democrats to tie the president's hands.
Banks talking to WIBC's Tony Katz. And the winner of the Music City Grand Prix from yesterday is Alex Below. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
A year before the Declaration, more than a decade before the Constitution, Benjamin Franklin had a plan.
WIBC celebrates the spirit of 76. Brought to you by Samuel Solutions Group.
July 21st, 1775. Benjamin Franklin presented his Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union to the Continental Congress. It proposed a formal structure for united colonial government, shared defense, shared treasury, shared decision-making. Some still hoped for reconciliation with Britain. Franklin's plan was set aside. But the idea didn't go away. 12 years later, the Constitution was built on a foundation he had already laid.
The spirit of 76. As we celebrate 250 years, remember to thank God for our liberty, love your country for our freedoms, and proudly share your patriotism. Brought to you by Samuel Solutions Group.
Breaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law and the
93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins. That is Ethan Hatcher. We are your 9 to noon show today, and thrilled to be here. I do want to play some audio of a Medal of Honor recipient who was interviewed on Fox News talking about the strike that took the lives of 3 U.S. military members, 2 of which have been identified, one other one that I believe still hasn't been identified, one of them out of Texas, a 19-year-old young woman who chose to serve our country and tragically has lost her life. And the specific nature of the attack itself and how it seems to be absolutely something that Iran itself would not be capable of. I think this is an intriguing conversation of how, if at all, other places are helping in this fight, and if the extending the scope of this military conflict would inevitably involve whoever these people are that are aiding and assisting. Again, I'm not sure that any sort of group has been identified here, but it does certainly seem like an interesting conversation, to say the very least. So here is a little bit of audio of a Medal of Honor recipient saying exactly that.
They hit a 12-digit grid in Jordan. So let's be serious with each other and say that Iran is getting help here. It's either help that's on the ground or it's another foreign adversary of the United States. If you look at what they're launching at Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi, these look like these are bottle rockets. They're just fired for effect in a direction. Drones that fly until they decay. that hit on the Jordan barracks was a direct 12-digit grid hit. They knew exactly what they were hitting. So there's obviously help they're getting when it comes to guidance systems.
Yeah. So again, if you don't understand the military jargon that's used there, a 12-digit grid is about a meter squared or 3 feet squared as far as the target and the capability to hit it, and to hit it with the deadly accuracy in which they did. And so it begs the question, who, if anyone, is assisting Iran, or, and this is the avenue that I'm willing to go down and then I very much hope is not accurate, Iran has more capabilities than we've been led to believe so far by the president. I believe him when he says that he has decimated the capability of Iran, because if they were, if this was something they were able to do on a consistent basis, we'd see more of this. But what exactly is happening? That's a question that hopefully eventually gets answered, Ethan.
I mean, I think we got a pretty good inkling of who is supporting them on the sidelines. Do we not? It would be China. These are the people.
China would be the most obvious guess to me. I think that the range with which this attack would happen would mean that probably equipment was given to them by China as opposed to China facilitating the attack. I think part of what the guest is saying on Fox is, are there people actually firing beyond just any sort of, military moves being done by Iran themselves? But yes, China would be the most obvious world power that would likely be involved in this.
Well, I think it's literally getting shipped into them on those giant tankers. Didn't we have just a few weeks ago when the United States was still blockading the Strait of Hormuz, a Chinese, big freighter that was just essentially allowed to go right on through and break the blockade?
Yes. No, I agree. Again, I think that part of the discussion point is where these attacks are originating from and how they are so successful. Are they actually originating from Iran? Are they coming from somewhere else? Because it's different to supply weapons to someone. I'm not saying that that's something we would want to be seeing, but we've done this in other conflicts versus actually using those weapons yourself to strike the United States. So I think that getting that information definitively is going to be incredibly valuable.
If these attacks are coming from beyond the territorial boundaries of Iran, then I would imagine almost certainly the United States government is already aware of that, because that's something that we can track with satellite imagery, with radar, with a number of other, means of detecting these kinds of attacks.
Well, and it is an ongoing conversation. So, like this isn't something that we're saying hyperbolically between you and I that's opinion. This is an ongoing conversation within the world of our military.
Yes.
Okay.
And these are conversations that are going to continue to happen for as long as we continue to act militarily in Iran.
Well, and part of the thing that I'm actually trying to achieve by this discussion is to demonstrate to people why this conflict has taken longer than we thought it would. Not that I'm saying that I've always believed that it was the right approach. In the beginning, I kind of hopefully believed that because of the success we had in other things that we were doing, thinking that maybe this could be a few week-long conflict when most people believed that fighting Iran would be a long-form fight. And then it didn't go the way that the president said. One of the reasons why might be who is, in fact, propping that country up. All right, I want to play something else, and I thought it was really interesting. I know it's much dated. It's very dated now to reference what Trump did on national television, at least one television station. Most of them refused to air it, when he talked about China and the 2020 election. And I just want to play a supercut from Tom Elliott. He is a great social media account that many, many people should follow. He's behind Grabian, an organization that helps a lot of us broadcasters cut a bunch of clips for all kinds of things. And he is pointing out the odd version of consistent conversation from so many of the media stations, so many of the media pundits on the left after the 2020 election, that if you can point to anything that seems like it might have been stolen data, even if the left tells me it was easily purchasable, all the stuff that China got. If so, then why steal it? But anyway, I just think it's interesting to listen to this in the context of the new accusations made by the president last week.
2020 election, the most secure in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
The most secure in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
The most secure in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
The safest, the most secure election we've ever seen.
Cleanest election, the safest election, the most secure election ever run.
Most secure election in American history.
The most secure election in American history.
The most secure secure in history.
What's the most secure election ever?
The most secure election in American history.
Let's just be clear. This is
I'm going to stop it right there. That is 30 seconds of a minute and 46 seconds. That's
the most secure election in American history.
The most secure in U.S. history.
This, in fact, was the most secure election yet.
This was the most secure election in history.
The most secure or the most secure election.
You get it. That's Sonny Hostin doing it too. I could do another minute of this. My point in this discussion, and I've heard it from a lot of people. I host a radio show in Houston, Texas as well. And we get callers that call in and say this, ones that are on the right, on the left, all over the place, that they're sick of this discussion, that they don't want to relitigate 2020 anymore. And I understand that. Truly, I do. But I'll say this in response to this audio and the relevance of it. If this had been different, and I hate whataboutisms, but they're so easy to do, in the sense that a Republican had won and a Democrat didn't, the left would absolutely be talking about China interfering in the election, even with the same data sets that President Trump revealed last week, just like they did with Russia. And by the way, in that data dump, there seemed to be a further validation of Russia's attempt to meddle in our elections too, which I think they've actually propped up while ignoring anything about China. It's just amazing to watch that, level of necessary data shift from one place to another, push the goalposts, as many people say, in order to validate their opinion that one thing was the most secure and the other one was terrible and horrible.
Sure. No, I mean, I think Democrats are often hypocritical, especially when they declare that, it's only a valid election if our guy wins. If your guy wins, it's because of Russian interference.
Right. By the way, I have to respond to something in the chat because I kind of love that someone pointed this out on YouTube. It's a great place to interact with WIBC hosts because a lot of us, Ethan and I, we log into it and see it. Someone just asked me if one of the things behind me is a track and field trophy. It is not. It is actually an MVP trophy from third grade basketball. Just in case you needed to know, I was the MVP of our third grade team, and I still have that trophy today, mostly because my mom kept it. This wasn't something I fully did on purpose, but I love that that question just got asked and I couldn't help answering it. One other thing that I do really like as far as news stories out there, and I don't have audio for these, the brand new Air Force One that was given to us by foreign powers, and everyone is very upset that Qatar gave us something fancy. It is actually already being retrofitted again to include, quote, maxed out capabilities from a security standpoint. This was after, I believe, the president traveled internationally, wound up close to Iran, and then there was rumors of an intended attack on his life that would have been something that Iran might have used some sort of information from the plane to do. He switched planes, returned back on an original Air Force One, and now this plane is getting retrofitted. I know a lot of people are reacting to this and saying, like, it's some sort of example of the bad parts of this idea. But if we can fix it, great. And if we identified a problem before anybody got hurt, I'm even happier about that. I don't know if you have any reaction to this story, Ethan.
I'm fine if we fix the Air Force One. It's not the first time that we've had to retrofit or upgrade a plane. These aircraft are truly on the cutting edge of what is technologically possible. So upgrading them is a continuous activity, all in service of the safety of the president and the ongoing capabilities of our nation. I'm fine with that.
And honestly, I understand the idea that if we get a gift from another country, we probably should distrust it even more, even if we accept it and then fix it, which we're capable of doing. And maybe we didn't go far enough in that world. Maybe there was some ability to still track this plane that we didn't want to have happen, which I think was the basic philosophy of those covering the story. They're not always forthcoming with us as to what the actual problem is. And that's a good thing.
You remember the dog that the USSR gave to President Reagan? I think the dog's name was Mitzi. Did they name it Mitzi? I can't remember the name of the dog, but yeah, they got a gift from the USSR, and the first thing the CIA did was start X-raying it and wanding it, and making sure, check the dog, make sure they didn't bury a wire, and make it some kind of biological Frankenstein.
Right. I like that I'm learning throughout the course of our first hosted show together that I have to study up on all of my history before I chat with an Ethan Hatcher. I have to be up on everything and anything that might come up on the show. It is amazing. One last thing before we take a break, and I'm entertained by this too. President Trump has threatened tariffs, and I think even actually imposed some against Canada because of the wildfires that are destroying the air quality in our country. I think this is hilarious. I think this is the kind of thing you should do, especially since some of those tariffs are on the exact industries that Canada had told us would hurt them the most, and Trump made fun of Canada for telling him that in a conversation where he asked, hey, if I wanted to hurt you guys, what could I do? And they gave him an honest answer. That was dumb, and this does seem to be maybe a somewhat petty, but I think somewhat necessary approach to, hey, you're harming us in a way that you don't seem to care about. We're at least going to let you know we're not happy with it.
I think that Canada informing Donald Trump the ways that he could hurt them the most is possibly the most Canadian thing ever. Oh, right here you go, Mr. President. Let's tell you which industries will most affect our country. We're sorry.
Yeah, what? You want to know how you can harm us? Oh, these are all the ways. Let's draw you a map and help you out with that. All right.
So Canadian.
One more question from the chat. Someone asked about the teddy bear behind me. That is a New York Yankee teddy bear that I believe I got by showing up early to a Yankee game in New York City. If you keep asking me questions, people, I'll keep answering them. I'm not sure that I should.
Tell us about your Funko Pops. Who are all your Funko Pops?
I have a lot of pop figurines, Ethan. Some of them at the top are athletes, whether it's Yankees or Michael Jordan. And then as you work your way down, I become more of a nerd. And my wife is more depressed that I care about these things as we go further down because it becomes cartoon characters and video game characters and whatnot.
Now maybe you're speaking my language, man.
See, I figured. Maybe someday we'll go through that. All right, we got to take a break. We're going to come back and try to have fun before we get out of here. I do have a couple stories that I think might be relevant, including the exact right amount of coffee that you should consume every day. In radio, I doubt either one of us actually follow this, but at least it'll be out there for you, who's ever listening, to potentially do yourself. That and more coming up in just a bit. This is 93 WIBC. I am Craig Collins. He's Ethan Hatcher, filling in on your 9 to noon show.
Hammer and Nigel show, back at it right after the news at 3. We're going to have a great show. Everything's going to be awesome. And then we're going to do caller roulette and ruin it all.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. To celebrate America, we are having our biggest Made in the USA sale ever. Save big on brands like Lazy Boy, Ashley, Tempur-Pedic, and outdoor furniture by Berlin Gardens. Indiana-made brands like Smith Brothers, Best, Hollywood, and Sealy and Stearns & Foster mattresses. Hurry! Sale ends Monday only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus with free delivery and interest-free financing.
The Honda Summer Event will have you doing a double take at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Look at these deals. Lease a 2026 Accord LX or a 2027 HR-V all-wheel drive, each for only $2,500 down and just $250 a month for 36 months at Great Lakes Honda of Fishers. Tax not included with approved credit through Honda Financial. In-stock new Hondas only. Not combinable with other offers. 10,000 miles per year. $2,500 due at signing. Does not include first month's payment, documentation fee, or acquisition fee. All applicable fees due at signing. Offer ends 8/31/26. See dealer for complete details.
How's your HVAC system doing? Ask about the Armor Air buyback plan and get up to $1,895 toward a brand new system. Visit ArmorAir.com for details.
It's just alcohol. Everybody drinks. You may have already heard this statement from your teen. I'm Tammy Silverman with Indiana Youth Institute. Alcohol is the substance most commonly abused by teens. Survey data shows that 2 in 10 Indiana high school students reported drinking in the past month, and more than half of Hoosier teens say it would be easy to get alcohol. How do you talk with your teen about alcohol use, especially if they see peers or adults drinking? First, understand that your child may point out contradictions in our society's views on alcohol. It's okay to acknowledge those facts. Talk with your teen about the many risks of alcohol use. During your conversation, you can both validate their views and uphold your family values. You are the first line of defense against alcohol abuse, so don't be afraid to talk to your teen. What you say has a big influence on their decision to drink or not. This Kids Count Minute is a message from Indiana Youth Institute. For more parent tips, visit IYI.org.
Kids count on you.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a US-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Set sail for a night of smooth hits and good vibes. Yacht Rock Review is coming to Ruoff Music Center on Saturday, September 12th. Get your tickets now at WIBC.com.
There's something happening here.
I gotta wait for at least some of the lyrics of this song to play. 93 WIBC. My name is Craig Collins. He's Ethan Hatcher. We have been thrilled to be with you this morning, hanging out on the show. Ethan is back tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yes, I will be hosting with Brian Alvey tomorrow.
Cool.
One
And
half
Brian is
of
one
those
of
ash holes.
I was just going to say that. I just was going to ask. He's one half of the ash holes. Do you know where the other ash hole will be?
He will be with Brian Baker on Thursday and Friday this week.
Oh, I meant tomorrow. I didn't know where the other ash hole. I feel like if you're hanging out with one, you'd want to know where the other one is. That's one of those things where you might be, surprise attacked if you're not aware.
I think he will be at Salesforce Tower, if I had to guess.
Thank you, buddy. A couple quick things before we get out of here. One, I'm not advocating for this. I know it's wrong. I think it's wrong. You shouldn't do it. I'm at least somewhat amused that it took this long to also identify that this was happening. The White House teleprompter guy made a crap ton of money on Kalshi by betting on the things that Trump would say in his speech because he had a copy of it before the speech would happen. That is surreal as far as the person. I think Gabriel Perez is the guy's name. A technical assistant to the president who was operating the teleprompter since 2016, that you'd be thinking, like, I feel like a few of these speeches would happen and you or somebody in the family would make a joke. Man, how much money could you make if you bet on this? Because you obviously know what he's going to say. And then Gabriel laughs it off like, oh, please. And then eventually he makes $100,000. I don't know if he's actually I assume he is, but actually in legal trouble. But he's definitely not allowed to keep working there. They have put him on unpaid leave.
Incredible. Not the first time that we've seen a story like this. I'm sure you also heard about the military operative who participated in that strike on Venezuela against Nicolas Maduro and had actually put sizable bets on the Kalshi on the open market before that strike was implemented. So yeah, but it's ripe for corruption. I think what's possibly a more humorous admission is that essentially, I guess, Donald Trump is like Ron Burgundy with the teleprompter. Damn it, who put that on the teleprompter? Don't you know Ron Burgundy will read whatever's on there? And I guess, Donald Trump will too.
Oh, I appreciate the joke. I'm not sure that it's true. I imagine he goes off script a lot, but I guess he stays within the context of, he stays within the context of whatever the thoughts are. But I find that amusing, at least, again, that it went down this road. And it's funny. I'm just going to admit this. When you said we've seen this before, for a second, I was waiting you to reference something that happened in 1845 that somehow was a bet between two people that benefited someone. And it was something that happened in the last couple of years. I was like, I know this one, Ethan. I know this one. I'm thrilled to hear you reference that. But part of me just assumed that it was going to be something with someone at some point, maybe George Washington,
in the distant
betting
past.
on the apple tree.
In fairness, that is a totally safe bet, Craig, coming from me.
Normally, I would have won money on Kalshi had I normally put that bet out there. Not this time. I saw this, and I like this story a lot, and I referenced it just before the break. The amount of coffee that you should actually have a day has kind of always stayed at a stagnant amount, about 2 to 3 cups, 40 to 69 milligrams. But a brand new study says the way in which you should ingest it is a little different than we thought. You shouldn't have 2 to 3 cups of 12 ounces. You should have 5 cups of 8 ounces of coffee throughout the course of the day. This would be better for you, healthier for you, and might actually benefit your heart. I don't ever understand why and when the scientists tell us to break something up into smaller chunks, that they actually think any of us will do it.
I like to mainline the coffee right into the veins, carry around a little IV bag and drip, you have it drip feed,
Yeah. And actually, I also should point this out because anytime I do any study or survey like this, and my wife catches me doing this on the radio, she asks me the follow-up question because I love energy drinks. What does it say about energy drinks? And I'll just let her know immediately. It says energy drinks are terrible. Once again, another study says they're horrible for you, but darn it, they are delicious. And that is, in fact, the problem. Other stories out there that I thought were interesting, too. Just doing kind of a quick fire before we get out of here. A 47-year-old guy was arrested for petty theft in Florida. It's actually giving me one of the Florida men I do when filling in for the Dana Lash show later on today on WIBC. He stole just body wash and a ton of body wash. After he got arrested, the cops seemed to be confused as to why the crime was so specific and what the intended use of said body wash was. I can't imagine it's a popular thing, Ethan, to buy black market body wash in the alley from the guy that's selling it that's got a pile of it.
Well, they don't buy it in the alley. They just buy it on the streets. Have you seen these open markets they have in like New York City where they just pile all the stolen consumer goods on a table and sell it? I think that's kind of what's going on there. But if you got a guy who's stealing a lot of body wash, it must be because he's a dirty, dirty boy.
Yeah, no, and fair enough on the actual reality of the story. I always like to envision the criminal doing something in an alley. I just always like to assume that the next step is to stand in the alley and try to beg people in to buy your body wash. Just because I find
like
it more amusing.
a guy with a trench coat, you know, Psst, hey kid, come over here. You want to buy some body wash?
You got body wash today, huh? One last one, and this is actually a story more because when I often fill in on Tony Katz show, which I do here at this station. Both Matt Baer and Carl, the producer, the amazing Carl, would like stories like this, Ethan, so I apologize for doing it. I have a story about an influencer who got banned from a gym after being banned from boarding a flight, both of which because she was wearing outfits that showed off too much of her body. She is now the influencer who's great at being banned about stuff. Any interest in this before we go?
That's only a bad thing if you got a bad-looking body.
It's true, and she does not, for anyone that's asking and wondering. Well, it's been a thrill to be here. Both of us have had a blast. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, IBC, for letting us try it. 93 WIBC. Craig Collins, Ethan Hatcher. Talk to you next time.
Now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going. We better stop the children. What's that sound?
Have you tried the only stop smoking hypnosis in America proven useful by the U.S. Patent Office that reprograms your subconscious? Alex Goen patented hypnosis destroys your connections to cigarettes. No cravings, irritability, or weight gain. Only $59.99 or your money back. Stop Smoking Seminar Sunday, July 26th. Hilton Garden Inn Airport, 2 p.m. Weight loss, 11 a.m. Or Monday, July 27th. Holiday Inn Express Noblesville, 8 p.m. Weight loss, 5:30 p.m. Sign up at alexgoen.com. Goen. That's alexgoen.com.
When the heat takes over, Bassett Services is the name you can trust to keep your home cool and comfortable. From AC repairs to full system replacement, we provide reliable solutions with care and professionalism. And for a limited time only, get an AC tune-up for just $59. Terms and conditions apply. Sound the Hound at Bassett Services. Call 317-420-4333 or schedule your appointment online today at BassettServices.com.
From the team behind Indie Decorative Concrete comes Grand Family